You're listening to the Gettin' Salty Experience podcast.
And away we go. You don't got to put up that sign, Ruffy, because I waited till I was unmuted. So on you. How do you like that? Welcome back to the Gettin' Salty Experience podcast. It's the only podcast that brings the fire to the table and the HIV or whatever Ruff's got to you, bro. Right to you. What do you got? The
high five.
You got the high five or the the other one?
I was just
Chinese
watching on Larry Bird and Magic. What did Magic have? Magic had the high five, right?
He's still fucking kicking
all around.
Yep. Hey, Mike, welcome back, fella.
I'm good. How are you?
Nice tie, dude.
Nice suit, bro.
Thank you. I always
You're
come.
one of those guys who wears a suit up top and you got nothing on the bottom, are you, bro?
No, I wear the full suit. Full suit.
You got
Nobody puts Mikey in the corner.
Wingtip shoes on there too. What do you got?
If I could lift my leg up without breaking it, let's see if I can get
wow,
this
he
in
put
here.
the pants on
shoes on too. Look at this guy.
I thought he was going to say
that
I can't.
Guy,
I thought he was in his trousers, maybe.
He's all business, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is all business. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. All the time.
Yeah, well, we got the boat cruise on Saturday. We're looking forward to that.
We do indeed. Should be good. Should be
Mike's
a lot of fun.
coming. Mike got a permission. I had to give him a permission slip to bring home, and his mom signed it, and now he's allowed to go. So he's coming. All the guys, most of the guys from the last year, and some leftovers from the year before.
Oh, who's coming? Galleon's coming?
Mike.
Look at his
face.
show.
Yeah. You might see him in the corner. Hey, Bob.
This is what I come back to. I take a vacation. This is what I come back to.
Is that Bobby Galleon?
Well, Frank Lee's going to be there too.
He's coming with his son too, which is cool.
Okay, nice.
Chief Steve's coming. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You have to be on our best behavior. Katrina is coming. Baloo is coming.
Yeah. We got a couple of ladies coming.
Katriana, I'm sorry. I keep saying
we have, what do you call who did that show too? Susan Hecht, who did the, she's coming.
It was like a slideshow.
Yes. She's coming. And,
all right.
Yeah, so we got ladies. We'll be at our best behavior.
There you go.
But this year we're doing a little Italian. We got the pizza pies. We got the chicken palm heroes instead of a barbecue. It's too smoky with the barbecue. You know what I'm saying?
I think guys like smoke. Follow the
smoke.
A
lot of booze too. Yep. So that's what we got. So why don't you belt out a few commercials because we got a cool brand coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So throw those commercials out there, Mikey.
Well, first things first. There's a guy. He has his own consulting company now. He's terrific, and I might know him. I can vouch for him.
Oh,
yeah, he wears a suit, and he has his own show too. Let's check him out.
Need advice on how to start your podcast? Frustrated with the editing process? Can't find a voiceover guy? Hi, I'm Mike Colon, and I'm here to help. I'm the owner and founder of MC Media Editing Services, your premier consulting company for all things media, where I can offer you consulting advice on how to get started, and once you get started, editing, as well as voiceover work, all for a very reasonable price. If you want to reach me, you can contact me at 917-781-6189 or the email that you see listed here. I'm always available, and I'm always willing to help. Again, 917-781-6189. Why go to some giant consulting firm that's going to charge you an arm and a leg when you can just come to me? If you want to be stress-free, the way to go is to call MC. MC Media Editing Services, your premier consulting company.
Wow. I thought it changed his number to I ate Bob, you ate Bob too.
I ate one. You ate one. So.
I ate R2, you ate R2 too. All right, Mike, go ahead. I'm done with that one. I'll move off that.
All right, let's go.
Where do we go? We lost Neary in the back room. Where do you go?
I don't know. Hopefully he'll be back soon. In the meantime, a word from Armor Tough.
Armor Tough interlocking floor tiles are the best choice to replace new or aging, stained, or cracked concrete or epoxy floors. Here's why. Armor Tough tiles come with a lifetime warranty and are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, with virtually no disruption in daily operation. Armor Tough interlocking tiles are guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. Once installed, the tiles are non-skid and non-slip and meet the ADA standards for the friction coefficient. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to any chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. Once installed, your floor will be easy to clean with just soap and water. Install an Armor Tough tile floor in your apparatus bays, offices, training rooms, workshops, exercise rooms, kitchens, banquet halls, or any other room in your station. Call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697. Why install a breakable epoxy floor that will need replacing in 5 to 10 years when you could have a floor that will last a lifetime? Drop a halogen on an Armor Tough floor and you won't see any damage. Don't try this with concrete or epoxy. Join the hundreds of career and volunteer fire departments nationwide who have chosen an Armor Tough interlocking tile floor. Armor Tough interlocking tiles are half the price of epoxy and will last a lifetime without issue. Again, call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697.
Wonderful.
Now we will get to Coop's rants momentarily, but you want a word, of course, from First Responders Center for Excellence. So
yes, we do.
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders, too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
I see my boy Geo 270s in the chat. Love that guy. All right, and the health and safety tip is this one's coming from me, guys. Okay, it's very difficult to eat healthy in the firehouse, right? So what I used to tell people when I was a trainer, I'll tell that story one day, how actually personal training saved my life on 9/11. But I used to tell people, just give up one thing, whether it's soda, if you're trying to lose weight, whether it's soda or candy, one thing that you eat, you consume in great quantities, and you'll start to lose weight immediately. It's very difficult to eat healthy in the firehouse, but pick and choose your spots and try to eat as healthy as you can, even though the
sugar, right?
The lifestyle.
Sugar.
I'm talking about sugar, but substitute some stuff. Cake in the firehouse, it's very easy because there's cakes laying all over the place.
It's all that
right. So believe it or not, the diet is the more important component of health than actually working out. Working out is important, but the diet is even more important. So, it doesn't have to be big, moves, big sacrifices, a little bit at a time, and try to eat healthy. And that's my health and safety tip for the day. Bam. Do it.
Nice.
What else you got, Mike?
Well,
Coop's rant.
It is time for that. And ladies and gentlemen, here it is, Coop's rants.
And away we go!
Unshy and unfiltered, ladies and gentlemen, this is Coop's Rants.
So this rant is directed towards guys who are thinking about coming on the show, but they're like, I don't know if I should come on the show. It's not for me. Why would I do that? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so when you talk about the word immortal, right? That means living forever, right? We know physically we can't live forever. Doesn't happen. But there is a way that you can be immortal, bro. You could come on this show and you can tell your stories and you can teach lessons that will be passed on for years and years, 100 years, 200 years, who knows? The things that you say on this show are taken from the young guys and they live on forever. So if you want to be immortal, if you want to get the word out there, if you want to give back to the fire service, then come on the show. Or if you don't want to come on the show, do it in the firehouse. Take the young guy. Take the time with the young guys, teach them and tell them, make sure you tell them that this is what you need to do to everybody else that walks into this firehouse. And in that way, maybe we physically don't live forever or we're immortal, but the things that we say and that we live, we pass on will live forever. And that's what I got. That's my Coop's rant for the day. All right. So we got a good show tonight. Something that's near and dear to me and Louie's heart. I know we did a special. We did the Squadumentary, and that was more coming from the bosses. Now we wanted to give you what it looks like from the firemen that started. They took guys from all over the city, all different firehouses, and when they created the squads, they threw us all together, and it was difficult at times, to say the least, right, Roof? So many things that were happening. So we just thought a lot of personalities. I thought a lot of growing pains, a lot of the other companies hating on us, pushing us in the hallway, et cetera. So I thought some funny stories and some perspective from the firefighters themselves would make for a great show. So we got some guys here. Of course, we got to bring in the senior dude or be a show without having the senior man from the firehouse. Then we had a guy who was a middle of the road guy towards the senior guy. Then we had my boy, my peeps. I went to Proby school with Matty Neary, one of the funniest guys. I'm sure we'll share a lot of shit stories, which is always goes over great. So, Ruffy, what?
Like literally shit stories.
Right. So, why don't you bring them in, Ruffy? Bring them on in, brother.
All right. So, you ready, Mikey?
Yep.
So, we got first off, of course, senior dude, Hank Molay.
Good evening, look at him. There he is.
Next up, Captain Bill Hill.
Captain Bill Hill coming in strong. Yep, he looks like the sweeper from that old cartoon.
And last but not least, firefighter Matt Neary.
Matthew Neary. Oh, I pressed the wrong button.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Here I is.
There he is.
Sorry, I was in the latrine.
You what?
That's kind of fitting then. That sound effect is kind of fitting then if that's the
You
case.
don't have anything in the beaker, do you?
No.
No, we'll tell that story. But you
if
know
I
what,
did,
Mike?
Again,
Gentlemen, before we get to this, there is a new song that's hot off the presses. I don't know if you guys know about it, if you've seen it on, if Casey Kasem was still alive, it would be, top 100. So, Mike, why don't you cue that up, bro?
Jason
I don't
Aldean
think
was
Ruffy
number
knows
one.
about this song. Ruffy, do you know about this song?
Oh, no.
You don't?
Jason Aldean was number one on the Billboard 200 this week, but not anymore,
wonder why.
ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
Jason Aldean just got pushed to the side, bro. Here is the song.
It's the new artist, Kevin Kubler, with The Roofie Man Can.
Who can take the overtime? Rip it off the wall. Throw it in the fireplace into a fiery ball. The roofie man can. Oh, the roofie man can. Who can take his finger and poke the fucking chief? Gets sent to Staten Island with a smile on his face. The roofie man can. Oh, the roofie man can. The roofie man can, 'cause he mixes it with hate and makes it all taste great. His partner Kubi makes everything it takes to sell to the buffs at the convention. Roofie says he needs an intervention. The pizza cut we won't even mention. Who can take tomorrow? Play 18 holes. Go grab his bow and head to Idaho. The roofie man can. Oh, the roofie man can. Roofie man can, 'cause he mixes it with hate and makes it all taste great. Makes it all taste great.
What? How do you find the time to do this?
Classic. Takes his finger and pokes the teeth. That was the best.
How long it took me to tape that, bro?
That was my favorite line in the whole song.
What's
A
the matter
little
with him?
behind the scenes editing that, because he emails me. He's like, Mike, can you add photos to this masterpiece? And the last 8 seconds, which you did not hear because you don't need to, it's just literally him stopping the tape.
Dude, it took me like 2 hours to do that, bro.
Oh my goodness.
That's for my buddy.
Time well spent.
Thank you. That's for my buddy. There's a little tribute to my buddy.
I think you got to get Petey back in there. I don't know.
Ah, come on. That voice is like, like velvet, bro.
Wow. What is that, velvet?
What is that, velvet?
Procaccini said, my dog's howling uncontrollably.
Like, so what do we do next?
All right, let's go back.
Hold on, we got to go. Hold on.
We got to get, I'm sorry, we got to get patriotic. My bad.
We'll go back to the 90s in a second, but
Yes,
first,
I'm
of course,
sorry.
this.
I'm remiss.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Malone said, "That boy good. That boy good.
Good,
Yeah,
good,
let's
terrible.
Good
So
and
we-
terrible."
All right. Also, let's do the word of the day. What do we got for the word of the day, fella?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the word of the day, if I could find it here, juggling a lot, is stand by. Cancel the squad.
What? That's not the word of the day.
Well, that's what
All right.
guys had in there.
All right, we'll keep
That
it.
didn't
Well,
happen when we were there.
Well, hang on. Stand by for the edit then. This won't take long.
I will take it. It's good. I like it. Leave it. It's good.
Leave it? You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Now let's go back to 1998. And of course, we're going to start, age before beauty. We're going to go with the senior man, what you were doing at the time, how you found out about the squads, and how you made it over to the squads.
Okay. Well, as you know, at that point, I had about 19 years on the job, and I had been in Rescue 1 just shy of 12 years at that point.
I got to do this right now.
What do you got? So things had happened with 1, and it was time for me to go to greener pastures. So there was no squads at that point. So I said, well, let me go back to Brooklyn. And I wanted to find a busy place, which was a good commute. And I wanted to go back to, I figured I'd go back to a truck company. So I went to Ladder 175, Tiller Rig in East New York, busy place. Had great guys there. And I was there, enjoying my time. But the one thing I wasn't enjoying was, even though we were doing a lot of work, you'd hear other stuff coming in the borough, and you're not moving. And after being in a special ops company for 12 years that was going everywhere in the borough, I was getting a little antsy, but it was really, nothing that, no other move I could make. And then I had heard that the job was going to be forming these squads, which were going to basically be, stock companies and doing the same training and the same duties that the rescues did. The only swap was going to be, we weren't going to be doing scuba. We were going to be doing hazmat, which I wasn't crazy about. But I figured it's going to be an opportunity to, get back and be in a special ops company and being able to use all the skills that I had learned in those previous 12 years. So that's what got me leaning, towards the squad. So do you want me to continue or let the other guys talk about how, how they?
All right, we'll go ahead. We'll continue after that. Bill, where were you? You were in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, I was in Triple Deuce in Brooklyn.
Yep. Which is single engine, right? On Ralph?
With the 3-star battalion. Battalion was
Right.
important. Plus the ambulance.
And you had about how long on the job when the squad?
9 years.
10 years? So you were like the middle of the road guy.
So, 9 years.
Were you in the seat there, or you were?
No, well, I needed 30 years to get a seat there.
Ah,
There's a lot of senior guys. In there. But,
I wasn't in the
252 is in our battalion. And when I heard they were going to the squad, I said that might be a good idea. I was on the lieutenant's list, so I better start learning some, how to start a saw and do stuff like that. So they were going to trade me with a guy that didn't want to do all that work. But then it turned into a big rigmarole. I had to go to that class or whatever that thing was.
Right.
And I didn't hear anything. So I was just, it's funny, I was out at Fire Academy in Nassau County. And I ran into Kenny Detada. Everybody know him? The 111 truck.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a he says, I was talking to him because we worked together. And he said, hey, you go to the squad? Nah, I guess I didn't get picked, He said, Captain Murphy's here. He's working tonight. And, you want to see him? And he came over and said, you want to come over? And I said, yeah. And the next day I was there. Plus, I'm his personal chef. He needed a personal chef.
If you wanted boiled meat and beans, Bill's your guy, bro. All right, let's go to Matty. Matt, before we talk about how you got to the squad, you got to tell the story about when we first met, because we were in Proby school together.
So, before Proby school, we got notified to take our medical to get on the job, and we had to show up to Bureau of Health Services. That was at 20 Truck on Lafayette Street at 7 a.m. So I took the train in, took the subway down, showed up to 20 Truck, walked up. Upstairs was BHS, and standing in the doorway is this guy with a cut-off sweatshirt, sweatpants. I think he had like
bag.
Totally. The pouch. He had the gunny sack. I don't want to say the F word, but he had the F sack hanging on his waist, and I think he had the Reeboks with
the black strap with the black strap hanging off. No doubt. Bro.
Apple-bound jeans, boots with the fur, the whole bit. Standing in the doorway at 20 Truck, I show up. There's only one guy there. I go, look at this Gindaloon, waiting to get on the job. And he says, my name's Kevin. So that's how we met. And then took our medicals together and ended up in Proby school, sitting behind me. And the rest was history.
Let me just tell you how I didn't remember him when we were in Proby school, right? So one day we were in the auditorium and he's sitting behind me, right? I don't even I kind of remember him from. I go to the bathroom or something. I come back and there's a picture on my desk, right? I had, of course, this is going to add to the Gindaloon thing.
He had a pimp sled.
I had an IROC Z convertible, right? So he draws a picture of a pimp sled and it says on it, "Caught you looking." I'm looking around like, who the fuck put this on my desk?
Because I had nothing else to do in Proby school. And draw pictures.
Shit.
So anyways, that's how Kevin and I came to be.
And you went to 107 Truck, right?
I went to 107 out of Proby school. Retired Chief of Department Anthony Fusco was my rabbi.
Who we're getting on the show, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he's coming soon. I got you. Yep. I was his paper boy, and I used to mow his lawn, or as I like to say, I used to mow the dog shit when I was 9. But I'm going to get him on. So he got me assigned to 107 Truck out of Proby School because that's where his brother-in-law was a lieutenant, and I rotated to 265 engine. Although many tried to talk me out of it, but I was a cop in the Rockaways, so I wanted to go back down there. And then I went to 217 engine on DeKalb and Lewis, and I was told I would catch much work. And in the middle of the rotation, they opened up the 5 squad companies. So I had no interest whatsoever in going to a squad. As a matter of fact, 219-105 were having their company dinner dance one night, and I picked up a mutual in 105, Randy Fowler. And I was over there, and John Ielpi was in 219. And he was already notified he was going to 288. And they were breaking his balls, man, about going to the squad. And you know him, he didn't care. He was going. He was getting into sock one way or another. Even if he needed a can opener, he was going to sock. And I had no interest. And probably a week later, I was talking to Ronnie Geese's wife, Carol, and she's like, Ronnie's going to squad. And I said, okay. And she said, Hank Millay is going to be the senior guy. And I still had no interest. And I spoke to Ronnie, and Ronnie said, fucko. Yeah. Call the captain. Go to the squad. So I reached out to Dennis Murphy, who I knew briefly through the volleys. And he had one group left that he couldn't give away. And, and after much deliberation, he said, you know what? Okay, I'll bring you over.
I'll take in this guy here. Yeah.
I was group 25. So I went over to the squad.
Can you shit in a beaker?
Yeah.
Well, not yet. We'll get
You're
in. Ray, don't tell that story yet.
I can shit on cue. I can hit a target. And he said, well, I've never experienced this in my career, but okay.
Wait. Yeah, come on over. Yeah,
I got one group left, and we probably need a guy that can shit on cue, so I'll bring you over. So that's how I ended up there.
All right, so
that's my story.
All right, we'll get back to the shit in the beaker. Hank, how did you – actually, let's talk to Ruff. Ruff, how did you get over there? Because you were 117 with Corrado, right?
Yeah, Nicky, I told that story. Nicky, you know, he was really into going to the squad. I had my paper in for 33 Truck, and I went to see the captain a few times, Captain Finnemore, and I was the next guy to go there. And Corrado kept telling me, you know, this is a once in a lifetime thing, man. You know, you got to try it. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. He was a little more buffy. And next thing I know, he had me over at the Rock. We were doing that. I remember at the Rock, I remember seeing the Cheese Man, Trezano. I remember seeing Tommy Burke. Like they were kind of helping guys. Like it seemed like they were like rah-rahing everybody up. You know, I never really paid attention to who the captains were. I didn't know anybody. You know, I knew Nick, you know, and then that was it. And then Captain Murphy called me that day, you know, that morning, whatever it was, that Saturday morning. And he said, "How you doing, Lou?" You know, we were supposed to be getting the call at that time. So I remember waiting at waiting, you know. Neary didn't do any of that shit, but I did. You know, it seemed like I was. Yeah, I know.
Nice.
I was waiting for the call, and when I got the call, the captain was like, "You're going 0900, whatever the day was. Like you're going to be relieving engine 288." And it was me, Patsos, Timmy Garrity. Those are the guys I remember. And it was like, you know, shitting in church. You know what I mean? It was just
another shit
wasn't a comfortable feel. Those guys weren't too happy.
So then Ruffy calls me and he's like, "Dude, you gotta see the guys we got here. Hank, he comes from Rescue 1. We got Billy Quick. You gotta come down and talk to the captain." Right? So I says, "All right." I'm up with 16 truck at the time. So I said, "I'll come down and talk to him." I go down and talk to him. And it's like, "Yeah, hey Kev, you know, I'll take your paper, but we got a lot of junior guys, and I'll keep it in case, you know, for the future. But I kind of got my roster, you know, but I'll keep you in mind." I said, "All right." So I go back and I talk to
oh, it's a funny story.
Puzzaferi, who is, do you remember him, Hank?
Yeah,
jacked.
I worked out with him in 16 truck. He was my workout
He ended
partner
up being
in
the
16
chief,
truck.
right?
Yes. So he says, "How'd it go?" I go, "I don't know. You know, he's going to keep my name on the side." He goes, "Well, did you like it? Is that something you want to do?" I'm like, "I would love to." Right. So I don't think nothing of it. Like 2 days later, we're actually cleaning the whole fire. They did house inspection. They cleaned the firehouse in 1 day. They just took the whole day. Everybody came in and they cleaned the house for house inspection in 1 day. So I get a call from Murph, and he's like, "Is this Kevin?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, how'd you like to come over to the squad?" I'm like, "Yeah, great." He goes, "You know, why don't you come in so I can talk to you? You know, we'll get to know you, whatever, and then you can start right away." I'm like, "Yeah, Cap, I was down there yesterday or 2 days ago." "Don't you remember me?" He goes, "No." So, he said, "Well, it don't matter. Come down." So, but he was close to Ruff. Who was the guy who was in charge of hazmat? Who we thought like, "Oh, this guy never been anywhere."
Fanning.
Jack Fanning.
Jack Fanning. Puzzaferi was close to Fanning. Puzzaferi called Fanning, who called Murph and said, "I got a guy for you." So 2 days before, he didn't remember I came down to see him, but he's like, "All right, you start on Monday." And you know what the fucked up part was? I got, "Guys, I'm going to the squad. I'll see you." Like, "Yeah, but we're doing house inspection." I'm like, "Yeah, I got to go. See you." Yeah. All right, so Hank, how did did you know Dennis? And what made you want to go to 288? Why?
Well, like I said, at that point, I said, this could be my my chance to, you know, get back into SOC and do all these things. So, you know, obviously my situation was a lot different from you young guys. I was pretty established on the job. I had 19 years. You know, I'd been in a busy truck. Actually, you know, did a year in a busy engine in 280, went across to 132, and then spent almost 12 years in Rescue 1. And I was fortunate in that all the guys that had been asked to be the captains of the squads, I knew every one of them. You know, I had worked with them or knew them from the job, and you know, they all knew that they were going to have young guys, so they desperately wanted to get a couple, you know, senior guys, at least maybe, you know, like a chauffeur for a captain and 3 lieutenants, and if they could have a guy that had SOC experience, that was even a plus. So I was fortunate in that they all asked me if I wanted to come over, and you know, I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying at that point I was a commodity because I had so many years in SOC. So I was kind of honored, you know, to have been asked, and you know, I was thinking about it for a while. Probably out of all the captains that I knew the least was probably Dennis. You know, I knew of him. We probably, you know, we ran in with one another, and actually, yeah, I had actually met him when I was in 132 a couple of times, and then he ended up in 111. So we would see each other, but I really didn't know him. Then I ended up we were working with him. We were chiefs at the fire academy together out in Nassau. So, the 288. I was looking where they were, and for the commute and everything, like 270 would have been a better commute. But then when I started looking at, 270 is having like this many people stay in the company. I remember when Squad 41, before the other fives was, when they were made a squad, they had a lot of growing pains within the company because like a lot of guys stayed, and then the new guys that came, and there were a lot of words. There might even have been some trips to the basement about how the company's going to run and how we're going to do things. And at that point, with over 19 years on the job, and I was like, I don't need to be in. I'm not looking for controversy or anything. I want to be able to mold young guys and be able to help start a company. So after I, weighed all the different squads, 288 was my choice because, it wasn't a horrible commute. It was, from Long Island. I knew Dennis at that point. I knew Vinny and Garrow from back in college days, when he was then came to 111. So he was going to be one of the officers. Timmy Kelly, who I worked with in Rescue 1, was going to be one of the officers. And then the only lieutenant that I didn't know was Tony Belisari. And they said there's going to be one guy staying, and that was one junior guy. So, I knew at that point, one junior guy is not going to be setting any policy or giving anybody any problems. If he's staying, he wants to be there. So that's basically what made my choice to go to 288. And again, at that point in my career, I didn't have to go for the tryouts, at the Rock, to do the different things. It was just a list. Okay, I think each captain was given like one or two picks that just take them. So that's how I ended up being Dennis's chauffeur and your guys' senior dude.
Senior dude.
Which Kevin, I believe you coined that term.
Yep, SD.
DHM.
Yeah. So Bill, when you got there, so you had worked your whole career in an engine, right? So I remember when we first went down there, we all our day tours, right? We would go for truck operations, right? Every day tour, we'd have to go out to the Rock, and they teach us, is that right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. That's what we did. We had to every day.
So when you came there, did you feel like you had to get your game up, or did you feel like you knew enough about truck operations? Did you feel like you were maybe you had to do some catch up? Well, when you first came there, what was your sense when you came there?
I worked a lot with Captain Murphy and Timmy Welty and Garrow and Joe Hunter, because they were right around went to the same fires. So we were pretty busy over there. So, we worked together. So I watched what they did. They get in the way, and I tell them to get out of the way, and I bring the light.
Like a good engine guy.
At the end, you're going to come up, and then, okay, get out of my way, and I'll put the fire out for you. So,
yeah, that's a busy place,
right? Like the technical stuff, I had no idea. I got used to this going down, getting the nozzle, getting the line. I was like brain dead. Just go in and, hit the fire, Just climb up and put the fire out. So I wanted to learn a little bit.
But you were in the volleys out of Long Island, right? Did you do truck work out there? So it was
mostly single family houses, so it wasn't a whole lot.
Right.
You still had to put the fire out first, though. So.
Right. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I never went on a roof, with a saw. Maybe one time, and that's about it. So.
Right. But I think that. Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, the captain said he needed an engine guy, Captain Murphy. So that's why he took me over there. So.
Well, first and foremost, the squads are an engine, right? And I don't know who used to say it. Somebody used to say you better be the best engine in the 14th division if you're going to be, when you show up as an engine. So I guess he's right. We definitely did need engine guys, right?
Yeah, he said he had a lot of young truck guys. That's what he told me.
He did. We did. They were everybody was, you had Eric Allen was an engine guy, Bill Hill, right? Ronnie Geese, all those guys were engines their whole career.
No, no,
Right.
no.
Yeah.
Ronnie Geese from 14 Engine.
14 engine.
Engine.
Yeah.
14 Engine.
He was in 308, right? Wasn't he 308?
Well, first he was
Originally
14
14 Engine.
Engine.
Right.
But all those guys, I don't know. Joe Fable was from the truck, but most of those guys were all from the engine. So
Yeah.
Ginocchio, I think, was from the engine.
Right, in Staten Island. You know, I think that a lot of the guys who were volleys were already exposed to the technical rescue aspect of it because,
no
like
doubt
Matt, and Matt was a rope guy, Hunter, all these other guys, Brennan.
Ioki.
Like I was looking at it for the first time. I had no idea what the fuck it was, but I think all these guys had somewhat of a leg up on us, you know, because they were exposed to it already. Is that right, Matt?
Right, but you know what? That's what made our place, I think, gel so well, is that we had such a good mixture of seasoned engine guys, seasoned truck guys, some special ops guys, and even, like you said, the younger guys that were in the volleys, but they had been exposed to a lot of that. So there was, you know, it wasn't like everybody was, you know, holding their cards close to their chest. You know, like if Matt knew how to tie a knot, you know, he's going to show you guys, you know, and help you out. And if, you know, if we were moving a line down and, you know, Billy was there, he was the guy that the young guys could aspire to be. So, you know, there was a really good mixture. I think Dennis, you know, Murph did a good job with his picks to fill all the type of assignments that we were going to be asked to do. The only thing that we were shy on was hazmat at that point. You know, we all had to suck it up, and again, we looked at it like, you know what, that's one of our duties. So we're gonna be good at it. We may not like it, but we're gonna learn it, and we're gonna be good at it.
That's the official.
That's the official order that we came down. And you look, it is a good mixture of truck guys and engine guys, man. Right?
A lot of O's from 117, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, man. What's all
117.
Corrado, DeVolio, Refrano, a lot of O's from
A lot of
117.
O's.
Yeah.
Brian Fahey, don't forget him. He was a senior. He was a pretty senior
That's
guy,
right.
right?
Yeah.
155.
Right, and he was a volley in Hempstead, which was very busy,
Right.
and he was a chief
Really quick.
out at the Nassau County Fire Academy. So yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
and I think he had a great mixture of older guys, middle of the road guys like Bill, and younger guys. I mean, when you look at it now, I don't think you can give Murph enough credit for picking a roster like that, you know, except for that, no, you know, that number 25 spot. That might have been a little shady, a little shaky.
Last one he couldn't get rid of. He's like, nobody wants it.
Mike, you got a question?
Well, there's one in the chat, and then I have one personally, and this is from
Go.
Ed Wilmart, the previous guest on the show from the Volley Company in Queens, and it's an interesting one. He says, and guys, remember, there's a super chat too. The squad guys find that the more special ops stuff they went to, learned, and trained on, that they found themselves getting rusty in the bread and butter ops areas, rather. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Matt. What do you think?
Well, I'll lead with this, man. I remember we were there a short while, probably maybe a month, and we were going out for the meal. And we were down by Maurice over by the Dwayne Reed factory. And I remember we were riding on the old Mac, and Nick Corrado was facing me, and the guy and I got there late, so I really didn't know what the game was. And I remember Nick saying to somebody else, "Does he have his helmet on? Does he have his helmet on?" And they were watching Captain Murphy in the front seat.
Lou talks about that all the time.
And Jerry Murphy was driving. And as we pulled up, Cap Murphy put his helmet on. He goes, "Stretch it 2.5." And everybody scrambled off the rig.
Yeah.
He said, "Stretch it 2.5 to the loading dock." And I learned that day. Cap Murphy always said, there were a couple of phrases that I always defer to him, but he always said, "You know what? Engine operations aren't sexy. Everybody wants to train on vehicle extrication and high angle rescue, but if you can't stretch a line, you're not worth anything."
Yeah.
And that was the truth. So I think that to our benefit, Cap Murphy always impressed upon training on the basics so that we didn't get rusty. Look, everybody wanted to lower a basket off the side of the firehouse, you know, with an attendant. High angle, everybody was in. Vehicle extrication, everybody was in. Airbags, everybody was in. If you said, "We're going to go out today and train on hitting a hydrant," nobody wanted to do it. But at the end of the day, Cap Murphy always said, man, the basics. You got to be able to hit a hydrant. You got to be able to throw a portable. So I don't know about any other companies, but I think in our case, he always kept that fresh, man. The basic bread and butter operations of firefighters in 288. And you know what? I'm going to assume that all the other squad companies did the same. Reflecting back on who their officers were. As much as you can get drawn to the special ops procedures, stretching a line, I'm sure everybody was proficient in that. Throwing a portable. I remember Timmy Kelly used to do that drill where he'd flip the portable off the top of the engine.
How fast can you get that?
How
Fast can you
fast-
get the ladder off the rig and set up to the window? If we were first due engine and there was
correct.
somebody at the window,
And somebody was at a window.
No
Don't
doubt.
worry about the mechanical lift.
Right, get it off there.
The ladder off. Timmy had this drill where
I
you
remember
rotate it and drop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember how long it would take? You'd have to unhook it, and it would be like the guy inside would, be like,
Timmy was like, turn it, flip it down,
Yeah.
and put it up to a ladder. And that was the same with Cap Murphy with stretch it 2.5.
One other thing that Murph did that I don't know if, this is just what I heard from other companies surrounding other squads. If we get a ticket as an engine, you better not get off that fucking rig with tools in your hand.
No doubt about
You
it.
get off the rig with a tool in your hand and you're an engine, you're out of here, man.
I think we were definitely the better at that than I heard a lot of scuttlebutt from other places that they were maybe not doing that initially. I don't know, over time. But.
Initially, and I'll tell you a funny story, man. I don't even think we were in service as a squad, and we went to a box down by the cemetery in Maspeth, and the 4-5, I think the 4-5 over there by the cemetery was the chief, and an unnamed officer was like, well, we'll show up with tools, and if they need us as an engine, we'll stretch a line. So we all walked up at like 2 a.m. with truck tools, and we got slapped. It was like, yeah, you're the 1014 engine. And we all got hooked and halligans, the set irons. It was like, okay, we can walk back to the rig. It was like, yeah, no, you're the 1014 engine. You're not showing up with tools.
I used to appreciate the engine drills because, I had, like I said, I had a lot of time on the job when I got there, but I only had 1 year in an engine company from 79 to 80. And this was a long way from that. Since, after that, I was 7 years in a truck. I was a truck chauffeur. I was in the rescue as a chauffeur doing all kinds of different things. But when I went to the squad, I had to go back to chauffeur school to learn how to be an engine chauffeur. And that probably scared me the most was I didn't want, I'll go into the fire with everybody. I'll do whatever has to be done at any job. But I didn't want to be the guy out in the street that my company was in there or another company that stretched off my rig
water or something
was in there and I couldn't get them water. That scared me the most out of anything.
I can see that. I can see that.
So
yeah, man.
For me, I was like, we'd go out, we'd hit the hydrant, and we'd practice, just hooking up and or whatever, you'd yell over, number 5, and we'd give you water. And I remember, as fate would have it, the very first job I had that we went in as an engine, we were first or second due, right on the other side of the Long Island Expressway. It was some junkyard, like in Maspeth, and this place was going stem to stern. And I take a hydrant, and now the chief, I forget, I had to feed one towel at it, then they had me feeding another towel at it. I got to go from pressure to volume.
The volume, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I tell you what, I got it done. I don't know how I got it done, but I think I was more nervous as an engine chauffeur than any other assignment. Like when we were squad, I used to hate when we'd get boxes going in as an engine because I was like, oh damn, number one, I got to make sure that I can get water, and now I'm going to be out in the street. So for me, that was the worst part of it. But again, that was something that was part of our duties. So I made sure, like Dennis says, it wasn't sexy, but I wasn't going to be the guy that couldn't get you water.
Used to run the best engine drill. When I went to 290, I used to practice this. I mean, it's a little different on the newer rigs, but on that rig, the Mac, we used to practice, and Bill Hill, you might remember this. We used to practice stretching, I don't know, 3 lengths, 1 3/4 off, right? And he would dump the tank, right? And then he would say, hook up you had that short suction, right? So he would say, right, so you would hook up to the hydrant on the one end, and then you would have the other end. So now water would be flowing. So he would practice taking the cap off, right? Because you would lose suction, right? And putting the connection onto the engine. I remember like connecting that on and then opening up the hydrant and seeing how fast you can continue. You would lose water, obviously, because you broke the seal of that vacuum, I guess. I don't know all that shit. But he used to practice that so that you could keep water flowing, because otherwise you'd have to shut down, right? You'd have to shut down. Now you're on hydrant water, make the connection and then turn, then put the pumps back on. But he used
Who
to
is
practice.
this, Ruffy?
Ungaro.
Oh, dude, he did a lot of engine drills from somebody. I don't know if he was in 214 first?
Yes.
He
Yeah,
did
sure.
a lot of engine drills, bro.
I remember that drill all the time.
Yeah. Bill, you can tell about it, right? That first 8 minutes, it's all you. It's 8 minutes of fucking sheer horror, bro.
Right.
Right?
Hydrant. In Brooklyn, that was tough. A lot of times you couldn't find a hydrant. You look for the police car. That was our way.
The hydrant walker. That was the hydrant walker.
Yeah, that's the walker.
Bill Hill coming in hot.
That's funny, Bill.
We had a senior.
Listen, talking about driving the squad. So Kevin and I sent to chauffeur school. We spend 10 days at chauffeur school. I don't do one homework.
They fucking hated us, bro.
I don't study for one test. I cheat off Kevin. Every test, every quiz. Final exams come in. Some other guys, Top Gun at 93. I write a 92. Kevin writes a 91. After doing my work all week. We get back to the squad. Thank God. Not one time did I have to pump at a fire. Thank God. Listen, pro governor, primer. I have no idea.
Whoa!
That was the panic prime.
The panic prime.
Panic prime. We had a lieutenant.
You had to back out.
in
That's the
chauffeur
governor,
school.
right? You had to back out the governor.
That's the pro pressure.
They're like, listen, don't hit the primer more than 3 times for 10 seconds. And this guy can't get water. He's laying on it. He's like, we're like, it's a panic prime.
Mikey, do me a favor. Put up the picture of the first job. I want to ask Matty what he remembers about this job.
I'm trying to see if I could find it. Is it this one?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's the one.
Okay. Yep.
What do you remember about
Matty Gase.
about that job, Matty?
All right, what I remember the job was, it was the change of tour.
That's why we have an extra guy.
Yeah, riding heavy. Probably July 2nd. Job comes in Flushing. Everybody piles on the rig. It's the first one as Squad 288. We roll in. It's asses and elbows, man. Right?
It is, yes.
Asses and elbows in the hallway. Hot, smoky. What I remember was, most important thing, when we left after we were getting ready to take up, we went out to the street and Rescue 4 was there. And that was my first introduction to Z-Man. Z-Man's out in the street with his afro and his dash. And he's going, I'm Z-Man, Z-Man.
Yeah.
Z-Man. That was my first introduction to Z-Man. But it was asses and elbows at that job, man.
I remember I was telling that story not too long ago. Ielpi was on the floor, but he went in through the window. I think it was 6th story, right? Or whatever
the
it was.
fire escape.
Yeah, he went in off the fire escape.
It was in
He
Flushing.
he got jammed up, and he gave a report or something. I remember forcing the door, trying to force the door in the hallway. It was like lights out. And I guess he heard us forcing the door, and it helped him find, and he ended up opening the door from the inside. Like, he opened the door, he's like, oh, thank God. Like, it was just like, He got jammed up. You know, like we were trying to go do too much. We didn't even know what the hell we were doing. You know what I mean?
That boy was out to try to fill some big shoes, bro. He was always just diving in wind, looking to get as close to the fire as he possibly could.
He would have lit himself on fire.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
without a doubt.
He was the one who torched the gargoyle. You remember? He torched the gargoyle. He lit the Christmas tree up.
Well, I mean,
do you remember his old man came to do a lecture at Proby School?
Yeah.
This short guy, nobody knew. I didn't know who Lee.
He had Lieutenant McTeague with him.
Yes. He had a rack on. I thought he was
friends.
walking like this, bro. This little guy's walking like this with a rack on him.
I'll tell you what, man. That was our first introduction to dedication, man. When Lee ILP came to Proby School with Lieutenant McTeague, man. That was our first introduction to dedication on our job.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah.
You know, the dedication that he showed to that lieutenant was incredible, man.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't want to get into. Yeah.
And
Hank.
no, that was. Well, I was going to say, you talked about how he was always trying to be in the thick of things. Number one, because he was his father's son. His father was a very well-respected firefighter from Rescue 2, and he had quite the reputation. And I guess it was in John's blood. I'm not going to say he was trying to fill his father's shoes. He was trying to make his own legacy in the fire department, and he loved the fire service.
He loved the fire service.
We all did,
bro.
but yeah, he just I think he even when he was off in college, like in Maryland or something, didn't he join like one of the volley companies there that you could? It was like a busy volley company.
Oh, Kentland or something?
Probably Kentland.
Something like
Berwyn
that.
Heights.
Fucking
Like where you could live in the firehouse there instead of the dorm or something. And, but yeah, anything that could get him around fire, he did.
I give you 4 names: Sweeney, Hunter, Brennan, ILP. Right? You think of those 4 guys, like what they were, how dedicated what the love that every one of those guys had was like through the roof for a guy that all those guys had 2-3 years on the job, right? What'd they have?
They were in Proby School with me and Matt.
Yeah, we all came on the same class in 95. We went to the squad in 98.
Yeah. Mr. Peabody.
Even Matty, I have to say, back then,
He wore every uniform.
He's burnt out now, but Matty was squared away back then. Matty was in the game,
A couple notes.
9/11 changed everything for a lot of people.
What do you got, Mike?
A couple notes, if I may add, particularly on Brennan and ILP. I remember interviewing an NYPD sergeant that worked with Pete when Pete was a cop before he came on to the fire department. And he would tell me that all Pete ever said in the locker room at the precinct when he was a cop was, "I can't wait to be a fireman. I can't wait to be a fireman." And when he was a police officer, he rescued an elderly couple from a fire as a police officer.
Pete, Matt, you were in the same precinct as him, weren't you?
Well, Pete, no, I was in 100. Pete was in the 101.
Oh.
We were in neighboring commands. And it was funny because we both looked like each other at the time with the mustache and the Teddy Roosevelt.
You really did. You guys were like
totally
freaking frack, man. You really were.
It was funny because we both worked late tours in Rockaway. And one night they sent me down to get gas in the 101. And I walked in the precinct and they were like, "Why are you in here?" And I'm like, "I'm getting gas." Like, "You're on a foot post." They thought I was Pete. So we didn't even know each other until we rolled over.
I mean, you talk about an obscure, funny, dry.
Oh, he was so dry.
Oh my God! Like you could.
How do you used to laugh, Coops? I used to do what he did.
Like he was asthmatic.
Yeah. Like he was having an asthma attack. No doubt.
He would play dumb better than anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean, dude?
What?
What do you mean?
What, dude?
What?
He wanted to name his son either Angus or Halligan.
Right. His wife said, "No way." Angus.
Erica was pregnant. He's like, "If it's a boy, I'm going to name it either Angus or Halligan."
Yeah. And he named his daughter. He named his daughter Anna Nicole.
Oh yeah. Pete was a quiet man. So Pete was a Cub Scout, a Boy Scout, a Weeblo, Civil Air Patrol, EMS, NYPD,
Yeah.
New York State.
Whatever
Park
uniform that fucking guy could put on.
Whatever uniform was available.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
He got on FDNY. He was.
He wasn't in Fire Patrol, was he? Fire Patrol? No.
Probably.
He probably was.
He was a season cop with Jones Beach Police while he was on FDNY.
Right.
That dude wore every uniform, man, there was. He was in.
Go ahead,
and,
man.
with, and with
Just so
ILP.
I want the audience to know, because we're here laughing it up and everything, but we mentioned ILP, Sweeney, and Hunter, and Petey. For the people who don't know, these are all guys that came to the squad as young guys, and we lost them all on 9/11. So, just
along
for
with
you that don't understand,
with Ronnie
and,
Ronnie Kerwin,
Kerwin, right?
Welty,
Adam.
and Adam.
Right. Adam ran, right?
He was a funny bastard.
Lieutenant Kerwin, right?
You know.
If he wasn't mentioned already.
Yeah.
Right, but so just so the audience knows that the ones we're bantering about right now, these are our brothers that we lost on 9/11.
Yeah, and you know what? All the guys we went through those growing pains with, man.
Right.
Growing pains.
Right.
when
We
all
weren't
came
even in the place a couple of months, and he built the knot board.
Him and his father. Remember, his
With
father
our
was a
names
little
on it.
bit of a man. His father was tiny, and he was a lot older, right? Because he was like
Who's that? Pete?
Petey. His father was like 80 or something.
His father was like 70.
Yeah, he come in with this knot board that he made with all the knots and the
Charter
members on it.
Yep.
That guy
It's
loved
still
the
hanging.
job.
It's still there.
I think it still hangs over the house watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the charter members. And I was the last one because I was the last group that they couldn't
All
give
I
away.
know is I wasn't last, bro.
They were trying to pay guys to take that group.
Let's talk
Nobody
about
wanted
growing.
it.
Let's talk about growing pains. Hank, what about you? Do you remember anything going on with the other companies? Because they, they wanted nothing to do with the squad. They thought we were, who the fuck
in
are
the
these
beginning,
guys coming in here?
Yeah, well, like I said, in the beginning, even the Chiefs weren't sure. We'd come in the beginning. We didn't even have the 288 front pieces at that point. I remember the first. Didn't
we were
we
a mess.
Didn't we respond like 3 months before we were
As an
official?
engine.
Right. So
Yeah, we showed up as an engine and everybody had a different front piece.
Yeah,
Right,
We didn't
right.
go
I
online
remember.
till July 1st, I think.
yeah, so the Chiefs were like I remember I think one chief we were at a job and he turned to Murph and said, "I don't even know what to do with you guys." I was like, so
There's Coobs
it
and
was like-
Patsos.
Yeah.
Right. So, yes. So as far as like you said, Kev, it was you'd go to jobs, nobody wanted you there. There was always the remarks on the handy talkies, and
They did
I
a lot
myself-
of chirping on the handy talk. A lot of talking on the handy talk.
I don't remember any physical encounters like guys pushing in the hallway or anything. Maybe because I was an older guy. I think you younger guys might have experienced some of it, but we mentioned this in prior things too. I think us being there made the surrounding companies better because
because we beat
were
their
all
asses to
business.
their own boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we were. A lot of times we would end up, if we were second due, we'd be
Made them get
first
out
due and
quicker.
stuff.
I was going to say if we didn't get
Right.
lost.
That's true too.
Don't get lost.
Don't bring that up, man.
I'm guilty of that. I mean, I used to have to take
5-2
a ride
Avenue and
back then.
5-2 Court. You're like, what?
I'd be like, exactly. Yeah,
You
there
make
was
a
no
right in
GPS.
there's train tracks.
There's the LIE. What happened over here?
There's train tracks.
This doesn't go through over here. Holy shit.
Right. That was the
It
second most
took a while.
frustrating thing. for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First it was having to be an engine chauffeur and get water at times, and then second was trying to find in our immediate area. That was the worst. Was trying to freaking get to a box. It was that was a tough area. It really was.
The only guy that knew our area hands down was Jerry Murphy.
Jerry
Yeah.
Murphy.
He knew every area.
He
Magellan.
could drive anywhere. He's like, no
right.
problem.
Yeah.
He had a
Everyone
computer
else was
chip before GPS.
flabbergasted.
He did
He's
have
like,
a
yeah,
computer.
no problem.
Right.
I don't want to get too far away from when Matt and I went to chauffeur school, but I got to tell these two stories, bro. So they make you do the EVOC course at the end, right? Do the cones and all the shit. Then they make you do it backwards.
The
Right?
serpentine.
Serpentine. So I'm going backwards now, and I look in my side view mirror, and there's Matt's naked ass hanging out the side fucking window. Now I'm doing something else, right? I'm going forward, right? And I see, because we went in the wintertime.
The lieutenant threw me out of the crew camp. He's like, get out of the crew camp.
I see a Christmas tree run across the road like this, bro, and then run across back the road like this. The lieutenant goes, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "Fucking Matt, you got a Christmas tree in front of you."
Christmas tree right across the track.
Hey, listen, these are things that could happen. You never know what could happen.
Totally.
Yeah.
Listen, in the squad, we're always prepared.
Prepared for everything.
I can't tell you how much the wrestling class fucking hated us in fucking
Okay, listen.
School.
Today when I saw you at Home Depot, you were like, think of stories.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about Proby School. That old guy with the fisherman shoes was sitting behind us.
No, it was chauffeur school, you mean. Chauffeur school.
Chauffeur school. And me and Kevin are like, look at this guy for like 8 days. We're looking at this guy laughing at him. We're like, look at his sneakers.
Like Downey or somebody?
So like, well, I had 20 years and 157 truck.
Oh my God.
Now I got the seat in 255, and we're like, yikes.
You haven't been to any fires.
Nah.
Yeah, well, get a load of this guy over
Or a
here.
load of this guy over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had 20 years and 157.
Yeah.
Then I went to 255. Now they sent me to chauffeur school. I got 35 years on the
Yeah.
job.
Me and Matt like, get a load of this fucking piece
We're
of
like,
shit.
okay.
Get a load of
Sorry.
this handbag.
Hey, Mike,
Nobody heard us.
put that question up from Chris Visvardish.
Hang on a second. Let me.
Give that to Coobs. Let's see what he thinks about that one.
I'm going to get to that one now. Hang on, because I was looking in the banner here.
See
All
what he
right.
says?
Yeah, I got you. So he says, Coobs and Luke grew up in the neighborhood. They not know the streets.
We did, but we were too young to. We didn't have enough time on to. Actually, in hindsight, we probably would have been the best chauffeurs there because we knew the neighborhood.
I mean, it really is, even knowing the streets there, unless you know the streets, it's not like Manhattan where the avenues run north-south and the streets run east-west and it's easy peasy.
Right.
These streets, that the LIE cuts through everything. And
Normally, it's street, place, lane, drive, avenue.
SPL.
Yeah.
They all the same name, too, sometimes.
ARD, Avenue, ARD.
Avenue
ARD.
Road Drive, but
Avenue Road Drive.
when the LIE, when they built the Long Island Expressway, they cut all these things off, and you could have a street, a place cut, So, I mean, that's why when I got to see it, I had no problem finding this, the location.
And then they dropped a cemetery in the middle of it.
Yeah,
A couple cemeteries in the middle of
There's
it.
like 11 cemeteries.
Then there's like
288
17 like
area.
named streets in there that in the middle.
Right,
of
but
nowhere.
also it was like
Plus the
LIE, it didn't just cut. Like if you went to say whatever 69th place, and then there was the LIE, it wasn't like 69th place picked up like you could look over.
No,
and
it
there was
doesn't.
69th.
No.
No, it was like could be 2 or 3 blocks away. So it
Correct.
wasn't, it made no sense.
Yeah.
It was very,
And then
very
that
confusing.
the way they did the LIE, they had the service road, so that cut off too. So there was spots where you couldn't even get to those. You could never get to it.
Right.
You have to go all the way around.
The one thing we were lucky about, if you remember, you remember what company we had in our first new district? Hagstrom
291?
Maps. No.
Yeah, Hagstrom Maps. We used to go to
Oh, we
the
used to go there. I thought
we
you
used
were
to
talking
go
about
there
companies.
and get a new
We'd
book.
go there.
Down next to Dwayne Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd have a brand new Hagstrom in the front seat, so you could.
Bill, did you have the seat at any time, Bill?
What?
Nah.
Did you have the seat at any time?
No, I drove once in a while. I didn't have any seat.
He's like, I don't want it.
I don't know.
You know what I wanted to ask you guys? This is something that stuck out to me. I was thinking about this show today. Because I learned a lot at this building. You remember when I don't know if it was Coca-Cola, the factory they were demolishing it or they were doing something with it, right?
Coca-Cola.
And we were there every day for weeks. It's probably longer than that, right? I remember,
Yes.
right? Hank, what do you
That was
remember
Coke.
about? What do you remember about those drills or those days? You remember anything specific? Like I could remember
Well,
specific.
Yeah.
days.
That's not
You asking
cut
me?
the door.
What's that,
or
Bill?
whatever. I think we cut the doors, right? We took the
Cut
saws.
the doors. It was a gypsum roof, too.
That was
Gypsum
the
roof.
gypsum roof. That
Right.
was our first exposure to the gypsum roof.
Yep.
Right. And it wasn't
Wet-
not only our first exposure, Matt, we also found out what the wet gypsum was. Nobody knew that.
I was
Remember, we wrote an article on that.
I was just going to say wet and dry. We saw both
Right.
parts of that, man. That was our first exposure, wet and dry.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Cutting
and
that
nobody
roof.
knew. Right. And the job wasn't aware of wet at that point.
Yes.
None of us were. It made us aware, and we ended up writing a WNYF article about it. So that, you know, because
it would
that
gum
was
up.
even more.
Right.
Yeah,
It would gum
that-
up the
that was-
saw.
Yeah.
They come up the saw.
Right. But it was even more compromised than it was dry. You know, it was really, if you had that, it meant the gypsum really had no stability at all. So you definitely
Wet,
didn't want to be up
wet
there.
sheetrock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was
And
wet
then
sheetrock.
I remember we did breaching drills. There was some concrete.
Dude, that was the
on
one I
wall.
was just going to say. The
Breaching.
brick. Dude, I remember that. I used to teach that all the time. We used to practice the triangle there, right? With the mall. I mean, I remember that like it was yesterday. And that was the first time I had ever seen that, you know, that. And
That
we
was
were
the
getting-
best thing about being in that area. They had a lot of commercial, a lot of different type buildings,
Yeah.
old buildings that we could
We
look
cut
at.
holes in a
drill
lot
on.
of shit, man.
Oh yeah,
We take care of a lot of shit.
All kinds
Alleg-
of random shit we cut holes in.
allegedly like a bell from an 1800s
And that-
church. You know?
And then down there was off the service road going the other way, you know, towards the World's Fair. But it was, I mean, you know, I say towards the World's Fair, but it was a few blocks down. We had some kind of vacant nursing home or apartment.
Yeah, right
whatever
next
that
to the
was.
nursing home. Yep.
Right, and we were that was vacant for a while, so we were able
Stretch
to nail
lines in
doors,
there.
Me and Louie know
stretch
that one
lines.
well, bro. We come back. Here's a true story. We come back from a third alarm in Corona,
Corona.
and we got Diatri. Eddie Diatri is the boss.
He
Right.
passed away 9/11 as well.
Right. And he
Yes.
for some reason he's gonna test us. It's pouring fucking raining. He makes us cut holes in the roof by ourselves, and then he makes us individually stretch a 2.5 in and out, in and out, in
While
and
carrying a hearse tool.
out. We're literally like, what the fuck?
And if you know,
is going
and
on?
listen,
Like, while carrying the
we're
spread.
we're in pretty good shape then too, and he was jacked too. That guy was
Oh, dude,
jacked.
he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was jacked, but I remember like cutting the, and it was, I mean, it wasn't drizzling. We
It
just
was
came from a
fucking
third alarm. We were
pouring.
already soaked, and it was pouring. And
Somebody
we were
put
cutting
like
the roof.
Nita Steins.
Yeah. Oh, we did all right there too.
We got in trouble there too. Dude,
What was,
I'll give
that?
you-
Was that on Metropolitan?
Yes,
Yes.
you know the
Started
guy.
like
The guy
1990.
tells us we could drill there, cut holes. This place was from the early 1800s, bro. We're cutting holes. We're forcing doors. The guy comes who owns it. He goes, "Can you help me take the Nita Steins sign off?" Yeah, we rig up a 4-to-1. We lower from like a fucking couple of weeks later. He's suing the FDNY because we fucked up the building. We're like, what?
We did that on Grand Avenue with Hopkins.
Yes,
They
the guy
were, they
made
were
us
renovating tenants. A
He made us
tenement.
fix the holes in the roof.
Yeah, we went out on a night tour. We hacked the shit out of this roof, man. And it turns out it was a new roof on a vacant building. We're like, we're cutting this thing up, man. We're going out for the
We
meal.
had to go back the next day and fix all the holes in the roof.
It's like, yeah, no, they were fixing that place.
Yeah, here's a
How many
Diatri
times do you
story.
think that happened in the history of the job?
Oh my god, dude! Here's a Diatri story. So he's sitting at the fucking desk. Now this guy's got forearms like fucking Popeye. And
Chinese tattoos.
He's got Chinese tattoos on his fucking forearm. I'm mopping the floor, bro. Like, clean his office. I happen to look over and I see the Chinese tattoos. I go, "Hey, boss, what does that mean? What are those?"
I remember
symbols
this.
mean?" He goes like this.
You don't want to
Stands
know.
up. He looks at me. Goes, "These are my rules to live by, and if you live by my rules, you'd be fucking dead." I'm like, "All right." Go back to my mopping.
Good talk. Good talk.
I go back to good talk. I go back to my mopping.
I remember you telling Louis one day, you're like, yo, he eats like 4 power bars a day.
Oh,
You're
Christ.
a hard fucking charger, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, who were you closest with in the squad? Who was your closest friend in the squad at that time? Do you
It
remember?
was me.
Who are you talking to?
No, Billy Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, me?
Yeah, who were you
I got
closest
along
with?
with I get along with everybody.
Bill's like the
Okay.
middle of the road guy, bro. He gets along with everybody.
Yeah. You know why Bill gets along with everybody?
Why is that?
Because before he came on the job, he was a postal worker.
Oh,
He didn't want any enemies. He got along with everybody. He's like, no, I like
I
everybody. here."
forgot that, bro.
Right?
We used to say Bill's gonna go postal on us, bro.
Former
Look out.
postal worker. My best Bill Hill story. He said, he goes, I used to stamp my bills with the deceased stamp and send them back from the post office. The post office, they had a deceased stamp.
Whoa,
And every
take
once
it
in a while, I
easy.
hit a bill
Allegedly,
and send it back
allegedly.
deceased.
Yeah. Hank knows this one. I'll give the best Bill Hill story. You ready? The chief comes over and he goes, I think this is daily after that shit happened and we were fucking, the heat was on. Line up. Count off.
Roll call.
All right?
Yeah, roll
So
call.
Bill's like number 4 on the line, right? Dress right, dress.
Right.
1, 2, 3. He gets to Bill. He goes, 1. Like, what? 1. Where did 1 come from? What up to 4, 5?
I wasn't paying attention.
He wasn't paying attention.
So-
obviously.
Yeah.
So tell him what his nickname became, Kev.
The count.
After that.
1.
Count.
Ah.
2 red apples.
Ah. 1, 2, 3. 1.
Right. The man passed the lieutenant's test and the captain's test. It's a good thing there wasn't math on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where were you, lieutenant? Where'd you go into lieutenant?
24
One engine.
24.
Where?
24.
24.
Oh, then you were the captain of one engine, right? In Manhattan?
Yeah. 24 and 1. 24 as a lieutenant and 1 as a captain.
Oh,
How'd
you
you
run
like
your balls
Manhattan?
off.
You
How'd you like Manhattan, Bill?
I was there most of my career, 15 years after I left the squad.
Really?
Oh, that's a freaking long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, he was there a long time.
Wow, shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
In my second career as a construction site fire safety manager, I would run into
I
Billy
used to
once in a
take the
while.
train home.
Right. And we
I
were
see the
sitting on the
captain
train,
and
BSing. Right. Yeah, Captain Murphy was across the street.
You got to run there and he'd be there, you know? It's interesting.
All right, do we want to get into the shit stories really quick?
We probably should.
All right. No, we
Really?
should.
No.
I think my wife's watching.
Let me set it up. Let's set it
All right,
up.
go ahead, do it.
I'm going to
Do one,
set it
give
up.
us one.
I'm going
Yeah,
to set it
one.
up. So
That's
270 sends us this Christmas card, very original. They send us a Christmas card that's all burnt up. Like, they're the main squad in the fucking borough, bro. They go all the fire. So Matt goes, I got a great idea, man. Let's fucking shit and send it to him in a Christmas box. We'll fucking
We'll wrap it like a
we'll
present.
wrap it like a present. I'm like, all right, bro. Sounds good, man. So I go in the toilet. I shit in a box. Matt comes out and he takes a shit in a fucking chemistry beaker. Like this fucking thing.
Off the second piece.
Off the hazmat piece.
I
He
went
gets
to our hazmat supply.
He gets a beaker. He comes out, he hands it to me like, I go, how the fuck did you get that shit in the beaker, bro?
You're like, you looked at it, you're like, you didn't even hear me. I dropped a snake.
You got the snake?
And then Ongaro sent it through the bag.
Wait, we give it to him.
No,
We go and get
Duped them.
Could
We're
you
like,
send
you need
this
to
to
send this to
270? He goes, what's in that box? I'm like, nah, just
send it.
Just send it. We sent it to the fucking bag.
Allegedly.
What about 154? 54?
We got to go with the rest of the story. So tell the story about 154 is breaking our balls, bro. They steal the sign off our rig. Mike, pull up the picture of the 288 old rig with the yellow thing on the front.
Gold.
Yeah.
Gold.
Yeah, that was classic.
Yeah,
I got to set it up because
That was
it's a great
Matty, too.
story.
Said it.
Actually, what they did
Took the
was
phone
classic,
call.
though, bro.
Matty took the phone call.
Stand by.
Okay, so you see
Keep
that
it
yellow on a gold 288 on the front? Petey Brennan made that. So we go to a job one time by 154. We come back and the fucking piece it's gone. It's missing.
Yeah, but we didn't even know it was gone till
We
it
didn't.
showed up in Anchorage, Alaska.
Right. So over the course of the next 6 months, whoever went on vacation
Mikey,
from 154.
bring it back. Bring us back here. Bring it back. So they would send a picture in the mail.
Traveled the world.
Where their face was covered with the 288 like this.
Right. Whoever went on a vacation, it could have been to fucking Alaska. Hey, it would be a postcard. Hey, it's me, the plaque. I'm in Disney. I'm having a great time. See you soon. Right. So this goes off for like 6 months, right? And then Matt's downstairs, and somebody comes by knocks on the door,
ding
right?
Dong.
Yeah.
It was almost like the fish getting delivered in the newspaper. The plaque shows up at the house watch. This kid was like, "Here, this is for you." We open it up, it's our plaque.
Right. Well, what's with it, bro?
No. Like 2 weeks later, the picture shows up.
Oh, right. 2 weeks later. Go ahead. Tell the story.
The picture shows up of some animal.
Well,
a naked woman in the shower.
Taking a squirt on it in the shower. After we all handled it. That was classic, man. 2 weeks later, we get this picture and we're like, "Oh, what's this?" We open it up, we're like, "Oh, shit."
She had like long toenails, right?
Oh,
Yeah, but that's the best. Maddie called
He had
up
like
over
dinosaur toes.
Maddie called up over there. He's like, "Dude,
What?
that was."
What'd you say when you called up, bro?
I'm like, whoever's banging at you's got legs like my father Lenny. Like,
No, that's not what you said. You said that's great, but what's worse is one of you guys is fucking that thing, bro.
that was probably one of the best things that were ever pulled on us, man.
Ah, that was great.
That plaque traveled the world.
No, I mean we cut that short. It was a lot. They sent us pictures from like I don't know, a half a dozen.
Dude,
to
we
a
were getting
dozen
postcards literally
Yeah.
for 8 months.
Yeah,
Anchorage, Alaska,
And it was-
Pikachu, now Pikachu.
It was from the plaque too. Hey, it's me, the plaque. I'm having a really good time.
I'm doing great, having fun with family.
Right.
So what happened? You see, you're at the rescue school, and what happens, bro?
So me and Pete walked out of the trailer, and there was 154's rig. And with that, my stomach dropped. So one way or another, I don't know where it happened along my life, but I learned how to weaponize a turd. So we dropped the turd in the coffee can and put it in the engine compartment.
And it was like the summer, right?
Yeah, it was like July. They were at special projects doing like her school training. Me and Brendan walked out. We're like, "Oh, 154 is here." I was like, "Get a coffee can." So the good news is most of those guys are probably retired.
Oh no, they're all retired.
So there'll be no retaliation.
How long you think, dude? That thing had to be cooking in the engine.
Dude, I'm
cave.
thinking they were probably making the wind up to get on the tri-borough. Like it rolled over.
What the fuck is that?
And the
smell?
engine compartment.
Somebody shitting in here, right? Yeah.
They
got stuck. You mean they got stuck in the mud? They got stuck in the mud.
At LaGuardia.
LaGuardia. Yeah.
And, we had pictures of them with right. The chauffeur was trying to make some big move or something, and he ended up like going off the roadway, and the rear tire.
He was trying to hot dog.
I think he was trying to cut us, like cut the squad or the rescue off because there was something going on.
And the axles it went down to the axle in the mud. And so we got up on the ramp by the terminal.
Ungaro took pictures from the top. Yeah.
And then I made up an all-unit circular.
Right.
Getting a rear mount out of the mud when it's on the.
I think we sent it to him, right? Yeah, we sent it to him. I remember that. Dude, that was good fun, man.
Yeah, Garrity. One of the best was Garrity wanted to buy like 500 crickets and put them in a shoebox and send them to 154. That was classic.
I'm gonna give one more turd story. That's it, bro. One more turd. I gotta give it.
Do you?
I do. I got to do it.
Wait a second. Hey, Mike's here. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike. How you doing, man?
Hey, Mike. So we're in the firehouse one day, and Matt again goes to the fucking hazmat rig and takes one of the paint can overpack drums, bro.
1 gallon.
1 gallon. And he takes a turd inside of this fucking thing, bro. and he leaves it on whose locker did you leave it? You just left it on the top of the
His.
locker. What?
Mine.
Oh, on his
It was
locker.
aging for like 3 weeks.
It's aging for like 3 weeks.
And
I
we were
don't
going to
know-
send it. We were going to send it.
We were.
I
but-
don't remember where we were gonna send it. I was trying to think about it today, but every
But-
tour for like
so,
3 weeks they
what's his
dropped one.
name? Tim
Regan.
Timmy Regan. One day, I don't know how he finds out that we got a turd fermenting in this overpack thing, and he pops the lid on it just enough so it's. But dude,
Bro, but I was standing there. It went like this. This is what you heard.
Yo, Timmy
Like this.
was
It went like this. It
the
went
best, man.
psst, like this. Psst, like,
You know
like
what?
under pressure.
Yo, it off gassed.
Yeah,
you know. So for whatever reason, Matt comes and he goes, "Oh, somebody opened up my can of turds, bro."
No,
He brings. Well,
I was downstairs in the computer room, and McGardle gets on the bitch
Ah!
box and goes, "Get the fuck up here! People are gonna get sick."
so he brings me the can. He goes, "This is gonna get somebody sick here." He opens the can, bro, and there's shit growing on the shit, and I was like, I fucking threw up all over the place, bro.
It was growing fur.
It was grown. I don't know what it was growing.
Yo, the can was rusty inside.
I remember what it sounded like. Like you can't. It was just like psst, that's all it
It
was.
off
It wasn't,
gassed.
but he just cracked it,
Yeah.
and it was the most horrendous thing. Like it was
It's like you
horrendous.
spit a piston.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
On
everybody
that note-
knows, everybody knows what we do when we're not training or going to
Oh
fight.
yeah.
Sure.
Listen,
They know.
you know what? We're always
They know now.
preparing for the next run.
Yeah,
You know what?
I said, Coop's just like, he's like, look, we're going to talk about what it takes to build a squad. I'm like, yeah, okay. That's not even going to be close
Yeah, let's
to
get
what
all
it's
these.
going to be.
Let's
Could
get
be
all these
considered
guys in
hazmat.
here.
Hazmat training.
That's hazmat training, Matt. You were preparing us for a hazmat.
I was
botula.
giving you a drill and off gassing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
All right, Ruff, you pick it up then. Go ahead. I got to compose myself.
Oh my God, my face.
So, anyways,
Killing
now
me.
that we got that out of the
We
way,
got the turd stories out of
Yeah,
the way.
thank-
Go ahead.
Thank God.
Getting dirty.
Yeah, really.
Welcome to the new show, Getting Turdy.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Where did we leave off?
So-
Where the hell were we?
I don't know. Go ahead. Hank, you take it.
hey, Mike's here.
Hey, Mike.
Well, we were
Mike,
we were talking about the growing pains of the squad and how we got along with other companies.
Right.
Which basically, in time, like everything else, it worked itself out because, we ended up proving ourselves. We did have a couple of pretty hairy jobs, after a couple of months. And, I know we've talked about them before, but I think the one job where we proved our worth was in that below grade health club. Right,
Ricardo?
Kev, you were working. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was working
know,
that one. Yeah.
So, I mean, we ended up as a squad pulling a down firefighter out, ending up with the line and putting the fire out.
And ventilating above the fire on the first floor.
Right. Cutting the hole and doing the old, rescue one trick, and, by the plate glass window. So, after you get, we did that, the Chiefs thought we did a good job and told us so. And, and then you go to the next one and, and then the word starts getting out. The Chiefs, just like everybody else, they talk to each other. And we started building our reputation on that. I think our reputation, got better amongst the Chiefs, before the surrounding companies. Because, there's always going to be that, I don't want to call
You're
it
taking my
hatred.
work.
Yeah.
You're taking my work.
Yeah, right. Taking my work, or we don't need you guys here or whatever.
Right. And especially if they're in quarters with the truck company, they're going to be blabbing to them. Oh, the squad's taking our work. Like,
okay, and not to mention that a lot of us came into it with 3 years on the job,
yeah. Yep.
so
Yeah, but a lot
that
of
had a
us-
bearing as well.
Right. But a lot of us didn't, and so I mean,
A lot didn't.
generally, you'd be when the squad pulled up, you were getting a seasoned officer and at least one or two seasoned guys, and then maybe 2 or 3 junior guys. But junior guy, you know what? These were junior guys like yourselves. Let's back up a little. Back then, there was no extra money to go to SOC. Like when I went to Rescue 1 in '86, there wasn't any stipends like the police department. I think they had, you know, every little department that was, you know, was perks, you know, extra money, and that's a good thing. And I, you know, our union or whatever, it was always against like the chief's aides shouldn't get any more money, the chauffeur shouldn't get. It was kind of like a thing. No, you know, nobody should be getting any more money. But what they didn't realize, that would open the door for other people down the road. You know, which ended up happening. Chauffeurs got more money. CFRD got more money,
and maybe you didn't want to be an officer. There was another path for you to go then, you know?
Right. You know, and then down the road, like I said, I put 15 years of my 24 years in SOC. I never got a dime for any of it. I did it because I wanted to do it, and I love doing it. And I'll preface that by saying, you know, just if you're in a SOC company, it doesn't mean you're a fireman that's any better than any other firefighter that's out there. I worked with plenty of great firefighters in Brooklyn that were, you know, would go anywhere. And that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to fight fires, and they were excellent at it. But that's all they wanted to do. These type of companies attract guys that want to do the extra stuff for whatever reason. You know, maybe because they want to expand their skill set. It gives them an opportunity to go to more types of jobs. And not only am I going to go to fires, I'm going to go to rope work, I'm going to go to vehicle extrication, I'm going to go to confined space. So these were the kind of guys that gravitated to the squads. It wasn't because they were getting any extra money back then. So me as a senior guy, I was in a great spot because I had all young guys that wanted to be there. They wanted to learn. They came there to expand on all their skills, and you guys were like sponges. And, you know, if there was a drill, you didn't have to say it twice. You know, come to the apparatus floor, we're drilling. Boom. You know, you within a minute and a half, everybody was down there, and you were drilling, and good questions were asked, and everybody that had some knowledge, you know, nobody was afraid to add it in. How about this? Or, did you try this? And the company just gelled, and you know, that's how our reputation built. And I think now, I've been off the job many years, but I still got, you know, guys that I know, young guys that, you know, that are now chiefs, officers, and even some staff chiefs and stuff. And they all have good things to say about Squad 288. So, you know.
You know what else, Hank, I want to add to that? What guys don't realize is the amount of dedication it takes, too, because not only do we go to training off the chart in-house, you know, at the rescue school, you're going all around the country. You're taking 2 weeks, a week here to go to bomb school. You're taking a week here to go to rail car. You're taking a week here to go to live agent, 2 weeks, whatever it is. There's a big dedication to that. So guys think, you know, oh, these guys just, you know, but there's a big sacrifice you got to make to do these things, you know, and where, you know, and honestly, sometimes I used to miss the normalcy of the firehouse of just making the meal, going to fires, watching the ball game. You know, you're not doing that there. You're drilling, you're checking the tools, you're checking the compartments, you're doing the daily tool check, you're doing drills, you're doing that stuff. It's not like being in a regular firehouse. You constantly have to keep those skills sharp. So there's a dedication that you got to put with that. You know, guys think, oh, you guys get paid 12%. Shit comes with that, you know. They're not just giving us 12% because, you know, because we're good looking. Well, maybe in Ruffy's case, you know.
Right.
So there's something that comes with that. There's an extra stuff that you have to give to that.
Right. I mean, hey, listen, I wish I had that now that I'm retired. That 12% makes a difference, especially when you're retired for 20 years. But, you know, I'm sure that they're still getting guys. I'm sure there's some type of weeding out process now that SOC uses before guys can just come into SOC and get assigned, right? You know, I would assume that.
There is.
I would think so,
I think it's become more stringent.
Yeah.
SOC company.
You got to file an application. You actually got to fill out an application, and then you actually have to meet the chief with the captain there. It's like you said.
It's not like you call up and they say, "Hey, I got spot number 25. You got it, bro." You know what I mean?
I can't get rid of it.
Right.
You want it? Like, okay, I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I
shit,
mean,
I just had a thought in my head. And the other thing is, that this is something that Cat Murphy said to us day one, and I mean, it's come true. You've signed up you have now put yourself that much further in harm's way. I just want you to know that when you come here, because if something goes down big in the city, which we saw on 9/11,
You're probably going.
you're going. You're going. So you just put yourself in harm's way that much further. So I want you to know that before you sign on to come here. So,
Right.
Mikey, show
just...
that
Sorry.
picture. The we had a couple pictures. I noticed just a couple of quick things that
yeah,
we could
show them
talk
up there,
about.
bro.
Which
You
one
got
do you
the
want?
Sanitation truck.
We
Oh,
got
yeah.
to
That was a
the
good job.
Condé Nast collapse.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So that was. But Matt, were you there working?
I wasn't there, but like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, right. So that guy was in the truck, right? So he was still in the truck when that was there. I know that the 163 ended up putting the bucket up to him. Rescue and squad both had at the time, I think, 2 come-alongs, and they set.
On the
So we
back?
set 4 of them up to the pole, the main columns in the building just to hold it. And then they had the 163's bucket, took the guy out, and then what they ended up doing was setting up because that it don't look like it there, but it's a huge area. Obviously, this truck was up there, so there's multiple trucks up there. They set up some tow trucks up there, like big heavy duty tow trucks, and they pulled up the come-alongs as this guy pulled in the cable, and they ended up bringing it all the way in. And they got, I know, the company's got a unit citation for that. That was one of the, I mean, but yeah, think about that. That's something you don't see every day. You know what I mean?
Throw some more pictures up there, Mikey. What do you got?
Yeah, we have a few more here. There is a box here that 288 was on. What's the story behind this one?
So that was Christmas Day. We were first due at that. I had that job. That was
Was that across the street from St. Stan's?
it was, yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah. Top floor. And who put that out? I forget who had the nozzle for that. I know San Girardi was working, Mikey Wood was working. That was Vituli's first day pumping, I believe, if I remember right.
Oh, wow.
And the next one, what's happening? Well, it's clearly an MBA, but what's the story behind this?
So that's Maurice Avenue and the
LIE.
service road. And that corner there, because the overpass was there was accidents there all the time. I mean, right, Coobs? How many times did we go to
oh my God.
on that corner?
We actually got one of those signs from Maurice Avenue, remember? From the,
It's hanging in the
it's hanging in the firehouse.
in the firehouse.
And of course, on to the next one. Another box.
Oh, Cam Evans.
So is that your brother there? I didn't know if that was your brother.
I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe he's got the finger up. Could possibly be. Maybe he's yelling at that tell that guy to slow down or something.
So he's turning on his bottle there. That's Dano. That we used to practice in Flushing Meadow Park. We used to practice ice rescues.
Yeah.
Commissioner's Day in 1998, July of 1998. Chief Downey's in there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Great photo.
it's an
lots of
oldie but
legends.
goodie, right?
So
Yeah, I missed
so
that photo.
you remember the guy? You see the guy behind Downey to the right? You know who that is?
Jay Weinstein,
That's Weinstein. That is correct.
Oh, right.
288.
He was a 288 guy. That's correct.
You know
Coops, is that you next to Pete Brennan?
Yes.
that guy
With
Weinstein-
the hair. Remember, I had hair back then.
That's Jimmy
Brennan
Ellison.
looked like Teddy Roosevelt.
That's
Jimmy
Ellison
Ellison.
there.
Yeah.
Jimmy Ellison Sr. in the suit.
Captain
Right.
Ellison.
2, 3,
Captain
4,
Ellison. He was my
5.
lieutenant in Rescue 1.
Who would have known that 5 of these guys would not be with us anymore, bro? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's Gansey
6.
too on the left, right?
Come on, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Gansey's
Gansey
gone,
on the
Downey's
left.
gone,
7
Garrity,
guys.
Hunter, Ielpi, Welty,
Yep.
right?
Commissioner Von Essen.
Well,
Sweeney,
8 guys. 8 guys because Ungaro's no longer
Sweeney,
with us.
Quick, Kelly, Belisari, Patsos, Chief Downey, Jay Weinstein,
Jimmy
Captain
Ellison.
Ellison.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, this one is an MBA coming in. It's an extrication job. We showed this one earlier, but we can provide some backstory to it now.
So that's the LIE service road. There's the main highway, and then there's this 2-lane service road, and we used to go for high. That's right. The firehouse is right on this highway, so we were constantly on there. That's Jonathan Ielpi on the left.
Alfie and
Sweeney.
right? And that
And,
looks like Timmy Kelly
Quick.
in the back, right?
It is Kelly.
That's Quick,
Kelly,
of
quick.
course.
Quick,
with this
quick in his
t-shirt on.
Nomex t-shirt.
Yeah. I was just going to say that.
In his OSHA approved Nomex t-shirt.
Is
You got Coop.
And his handy talkie.
Where's the one with Coobs working the tool?
That would be the next one right here.
Yeah, so this is a different box.
That's Maurice Avenue. That's right where the other one was.
Yeah.
Maurice and the LIE.
So when we
Another,
first started, we learned that the vertical push that Kev's doing there, that's what we learned. Like the cars were a little older then, and we used to do that all the time. And then as the cars got newer and cheaper made, then you really couldn't do that so much.
You're like, don't do that anymore.
Yeah, they were like, don't do that. But I remember we used to practice that a lot, the vertical push.
Here's Captain Hill. We were joking about this photo off the air earlier.
He's always looking for the camera, that Bill Hill, you know?
Good pictures, you know.
What'd you do? Shave the mustache then?
He's like, I don't like selfies.
I don't like mustaches.
I don't like selfies.
Who's this guy Grogan? That's what I want to know. Who's this Grogan?
Grogan. Never heard of him.
Who's that? Your
He's a
son-in-law?
Yeah, it's a Brooklyn voice of Brooklyn.
Voice of Brooklyn now?
I like
Ryan
him.
Grogan.
He's a good dude, that Grogan.
He sends me a lot of pictures. It's good.
What else
This
you got,
was
Mikey?
288 in 1998, as we talked about off the air. A lot of great mustaches. in this photo.
Bolio.
A lot of mustaches there.
So
bro.
there you could really see Brennan and Neary, how close they look to each other.
Twins.
right?
So you could see us getting mixed up on the peninsula of Rockaway when I went to
Dude,
get gas at the
Near-
101. They're
Neary-
like, why are you on your foot post?
Coobs, Neary towers over you, bro.
Well, that's not hard. That's not a great accomplishment.
No, we didn't talk much about Welty. He was a
He was a
sick
nut.
bastard. He was like one of those guys you loved him, you hated him, but he was a good fireman, man.
He was a MacGyver
Balls.
type guy. Right?
He was a MacGyver.
You know what it was too? It
absolutely.
was just a crazy balls, like didn't think about
He
anything.
climbed shit like a monkey.
He did.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
just his fingers. He
Yeah,
had the job.
He climbed the front of the firehouse.
Yeah. Well, we went out to Bayside and as a squad, and they get out there, and Timmy Kelly was the boss because he told me this story. And he's like, they get out there, and the chief's like, do me a favor, get up there, see what's going on, and they get over there, and the engine is like right there, but they're running out of air. So they give him the nozzle, right? So now Welty's got the nozzle, so he starts to go up the stairs with their line. And as he's going up the stairs, the whole second floor is ripping. The nozzle pops off. I guess it wasn't. I don't know if it was. I don't know the way.
That was 34th Avenue, 111th Street.
Yeah, it pops off. So what does he do? Instead of like bailing out, the water's coming out of the cup.
Put his hand over
puts
it.
his hand over it like he's
Like a
doing
garden hose.
Garden hose. And Kelly was like looked over at him because it was it was still spraying a little bit, but he's like we're gonna have to get out of here, brother. You know what I mean? So
Kelly went out to the street, and the chief said, "Give me a progress report." He said, "Chief, you can't make this up. The men are advancing the line without a nozzle."
Did he say that really?
Yeah, the men are advancing the line without a nozzle. That was his report.
I always remember that story with Welty all the time. Like that shows you what kind of guy
I was
that
at
guy
that
was.
job.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Olson from Rescue 3 was the boss, and John Fordham from 270 was driving.
I thought it wasn't bait, so it wasn't Bayside.
No, I was up in Corona.
Oh, Corona.
Oh, Jackson Heights over there. 3, 4, and 111.
Oh, that's so funny, man.
Yeah, the men are advancing the line without a nozzle. And Kelly gave the report, cool as a cucumber.
Of
Can't
course.
make this up.
That's what we said. We had him on a couple of weeks ago. I mean, like that's exactly how he was.
Yeah. Yep.
There's
What else you got, Mikey?
There's a few more retro photos I'll show, but this one's my favorite because for as much as cops and firemen bust each other's chops, when it's time to mourn the loss of a first responder and pay tribute, you guys do that. And to provide the backstory real quick before you guys elaborate, this was for Paul Tuzzolo. He was an NYPD sergeant, and on November 4th, 2016, he responded to reports of a domestic disturbance in the Bronx. And unfortunately, some animal shot and killed him. He was a father of 2, and he left behind those 2 young boys and his wife. And you guys paid tribute to him as the procession, I should say, for his fallen body was going by.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff from that. November 4th, 2016. Do not forget Sergeant Paul Tuzzolo. We'll go back to the year 2000 with a young Kevin Kubler.
Oh, there I am, bro. That is a garden apartment fire. Hot as a motherfucker. And yes, that is the one that I had a bad belly coming into the firehouse. It was about 100 degrees that day. and I wound up fucking shitting in my pants on the way back to the firehouse. True story. Shitting in my bunker gear. I said to myself, I came in that morning, I said, just please let us have a quiet day. Nope. Third alarm in the garden apartments, hot as a motherfucker. Actually, that's when the fucking glass blew out, and my brother was the deputy, cut his face with the glass. And actually, thank you for the other companies decided to empty our entire fucking bed for no reason. That was another thing they would do all the
What's the matter
time.
with you?
What
is that? Who's that? Is that Gomez up there on that?
That's Gomez,
Looks like
Velotti, and Tito.
Tito.
I
Wow,
don't know
Gomez
who the
looks
other guy
young.
was, but dude, I felt like somebody. I went in there; it was so hot. I felt like somebody was sticking a knife in my belly.
Code Brown.
So I had to go down. Yeah.
Here's a good one.
Evan's just like, did you just shit yourself? I'm like, yep.
This is the year into the existence of the squad. I don't know who was on this run. You can't see anybody in the photo, but it's the rig itself. I do know it was July 1999, carbon monoxide call in the theater district, and 288's there.
Yeah, I can't tell who's on that rig. You're absolutely right, Mike. You can't tell who's on it.
Mike is spot on, bro.
Tough to tell, but nevertheless, a good photo of the rig.
Well, 288 did get called into Manhattan a lot because of location to the tunnel, and it was quick right into Midtown there. You know,
we could be 18. We could be 18 hands down, bro. Sometimes from the tunnel on up, no doubt, all the time. We would get a lot of runs.
Yeah. Were any of you guys working? You know, we talk about again jobs that I think helped define the squad. I know Captain Murphy was working, I was working, and we didn't worry because in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was working.
Were you working for that one? Right. I mean that was another job that I don't know. Rescue 1 and 18 were at another job or something. They had just I don't know. Did they call us on the second alarm?
I think so. Yeah.
I think when they banged in the second, they called us, and then as we were pulling up, I think they banged in a third or something. And they couldn't locate the fire, and then we got there, and the chief was like, "See if you can find a fire." It was
I remember when
Dwayne Reed,
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a really heavy smoke condition, pouring out of every opening in this Dwayne Reed, and I remember, again, I got to thank some of the tricks I learned from my senior men in my offices at Rescue 1. It's not always like you can just walk down an alley or something to get to the rear of these buildings, and that's how it was. Dwayne Reed, was butted up against something else. We walked a couple of buildings. Right? Was it a bank?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, go ahead. You probably have a better record.
No, I just remember. I remember some of those things. I remember it was a bank and some other stuff, but.
And somehow we forced our way down into the basement, right? And then
it had one of those. We had to go past that. When the trucks outside open up the gate, and then they throw the boxes to get down.
Doors.
Yeah,
right.
but they throw it down that ramp with the wheels.
Yes.
We had to squeeze past there. Fuck that.
Right. So we went down there, but I mean, it wasn't. From what I remember,
no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
There was some smoke, but it wasn't like,
no,
like, oh
it
my
wasn't
God.
that bad.
We got down there, we worked our way. I think, and then didn't we get to the rear and then get into the adjoining building basement? Well, we got into we got into the basement of Dwayne Reed.
Wasn't it like you got to a door and then it opened up into like a hallway that went to each basement, right? Or something like that,
right.
If I remember right.
Yeah, it was like a common hallway into the
common hallway. Correct.
Right, and from the rear, and we found our way into the basement of Dwayne Reed, and then it was smoky. We got up a stairway, and the freaking door was hot as hell, and
it was right there.
We opened that door, and it was freaking roaring. So we closed the door and radioed the chief. We got the fire, right, and then we sent one of you guys, or a couple of guys around. Got the chief, and they got an engine company, right? They brought the line down that way, and then they ended up with a 2.5, getting water on that fire. So, and again, the chiefs after that one, I forget who the chief was, but I know Captain Murphy does, but they were singing us praises after that. So, like I said, those were some of the bigger jobs I remember when we were still a fledgling squad. In the first year to 2 years, a year and a half. That helped us define that, hey, we can get this done for you, Chief. And we
gotta
did.
make your reputation, right, Hank?
Yeah, you do. And
Yep.
and you do that by knowing your job and performing when you're asked to do it.
Yep. I remember
was-
actually like maybe 2 years before I left, Hank, when I was a senior guy in the seat, like when the chief started calling me by my first name, I knew like I had to be, I think I kind of earned my spot. You know what I mean? Like they would call me. And the first time they did, I was like, is he calling me? What?
Right.
But then
Yeah.
I kind of figured like, all right, I kind of made my own reputation. Like I made they're asking me calling me by my first name. So that's kind of figured when I kind of earned that spot.
And that's
We
true.
have a couple more photos here from the archives, of course. We'll take you back to March 2008 with this one. I believe it's Collapse, Louis? Cool.
Yeah, I forget which crane that's in Manhattan too, I believe.
Mhm.
I forget which crane that was, but I think that's Dunnick right there. I think Blaze was working for that. Is there another picture of that one too?
Yes, there's two of them. Here's another one.
Ren is there. I see Ren. A couple other guys. Oh, that's Smithwick there on the top left.
Oh yeah.
And the last one is, we'll take you back to May of 1999, a box.
So I'm going to see if Hank remembers this one.
Do I remember? That what was it?
up
That
in
wasn't.
Astoria.
Was it Saturday day?
This was in
That was-
Astoria.
Yeah.
Were you working for this, Manny?
No, but we have waist straps undone right there.
Yeah. You know what this was pretty early on, I think.
Oh, Murph wouldn't go for that.
It was
the
up
waist
on like
strap.
Astoria Boulevard or something, right?
It was on Astoria
don't-
Boulevard.
I-
That's
I
on
didn't
Garo
recall
there,
that,
I
Louis.
think.
If I'm not mistaken, that made it in the WMYF.
It was. That was the hubcap place.
Oh, the hubcap factory.
You remember the hubcap place over there? The guy, it was like a 3-story house, and the
Yeah,
guy
right on the service road.
he used to sell hubcaps. He was like a homeless guy, but he used to sell hubcaps there. And
Were they hanging in the front? Of the-
yeah, they were all hanging in the. This is actually in the back that they needed access to get in there. But if you remember, Hank, we jumped up when we first got there. We jumped up. There was no access into the place because it was kind of all, shitted up with hubcaps and everything. We took the what was the chainsaw with the
Tempest with the guard on it.
with the guard? What was that? What was you used
Oh,
to call
the
it?
cutter's edge.
Cut his
Cut his
edge.
edge. Right.
Me and you jumped up and we cut a hole in the second floor in the wall, like where that window is right there. We cut like a whole section out so that they could get access to, because everything was like all, you couldn't get any access.
Okay.
That was the first, and then the chain pop. We cut a hole, we got everything open. We started cutting all the hole, and I think the chain popped off, and that was the last time I ever used that thing. But then we went back. We came out back here to cut a hole in the fence so they could get access. But that's a long time ago.
Totally underused tactic. Taking the chainsaw and ripping a window down to the floor.
Down to the floor, right? Yeah.
Totally. Like no one thinks doing it.
He made me grab it.
Well, I you know what? I wouldn't say that that's a tactic I would use, say, in a house fire. A vacant building, I would use it. But a lot of times you got a bed or something next to the window. If you don't know if somebody's unconscious in that bed, I don't want to put a chainsaw down to cut a window to the floor.
Or a radiator. Kind of a radiator there too.
Yes, and the old one, right? That's you knew if you were crawling and you banged into a radiator, you're gonna have a window there. So, but yeah, I mean, the chainsaw is a good tool with certain applications, and it wasn't that used in FDNY. I mean, I think only at least back then, only the special
rescue
units had them. Right. I mean,
Yeah, right.
I got all of these scars on my hand from a chainsaw on 42nd Street. So even knowing how to hopefully use the tool. And things happen. The linkage broke. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I ended up
Those
on
things
medical
always
leave from
broke. It seemed to me anyway.
So, yeah, but they're a good tool. But a lot of departments around the country
That's all.
That's like a primary venting saw.
I think the saw
quick
that we had
venting.
though, it seemed old. If I remember right, it didn't seem like a newer saw.
What, the cutter's edge?
Yeah.
Oh, the chainsaw was old, but the cutter's edge wasn't old.
No. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Maybe the still saw that we had was old.
But I remember in 117, I was waiting for that place to burn down for years, and then it burned down when I was in the squad.
Nice.
In the squad.
Day late and a dollar short.
Yeah, I gotta give a little
we
shout
didn't
out
Like
to,
rats.
Yeah.
I got a
You're
little
finally
shout out
burned down.
to Fat Daddy Ray in the chat, because I remember the first day that he worked in detail before he was assigned to 270.
Oh, Lou B's in the chat too.
And he didn't say but like 4 sentences to me, and they were all breaking my balls. I'm saying to myself, who the fuck is this guy? You know, breaking my balls, working in detail, no less.
Who was that, Father Time?
Yeah. But little did I know we would have a lot of good jobs together, including him steamrolling me on the cocklock explosion, running over me at a commercial job. But Fat Daddy Ray was good in the squad too, man. Who's in the Lou B's in there?
Lou B caught all the work.
He always caught the work that fuck,
Yeah, he
man.
caught all the work.
Yeah.
He wasn't in my group. It was just Cat Murphy. And I had Cat Murphy and Hank and Ungaro. And then Kelly and Belisari.
Right. Louis, were you working that job? I think it went to a third or fourth alarm where we were on the second floor. It might have been a bowling alley or something.
Yeah.
Up on the second
That was
floor. That was like, were you there too, Billy? That was like, that was an ass kicking job. That one.
Yeah.
It was on.
Smoky
I think it was
shit.
on one. It was on one of the main
Northern.
streets in Queens.
It was on Northern
Was it
Boulevard,
Northern?
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
East.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I got a funny story, but I'm not saying it. So, go ahead.
Please
Yeah.
say it.
I think Fable was there too, right? Was it Joey Fable there?
Listen, we have 6 minutes left. Say it.
Say it.
Say it.
Well, we're up there, and again, this is another fire where nobody can find this fire, but this place is pushing marshmallows everywhere. And I think I ran into, I think Jay Fischler might have been a chief at the job. And,
Never heard of him.
And we're up there with saws, and we're trying to cut this floor, which later we found out, I think it was the bowling alley was on the
Yeah, it was a
second
floor over
and
a floor over a floor
had
or
a-
something.
Right,
It
and
was.
the fire was like in between, and it was below the bowling alley. And that wood is like, you start cutting with like a 24 tooth carbide, on a partner saw and that just knocks the
Eats it up.
teeth off and dulls
Yeah.
the blade. So you get a half a cut, and your blade would go to shit. And so we're up there taking a beat and trying to cut this stuff open, and see if we can expose something and get some water on it. And I remember, I think at the time, allegedly, I might have had some type of auxiliary breathing device. And
With goggles. With goggles.
yeah, maybe, I don't remember. And
Whatever.
I get a hand on my shoulder, and it's the chief of safety. And like I kind of get, I turn, he's got his face like right down to me, and it happened to be somebody that might have been my captain in Rescue 1 at one time. And
And now he's telling you, you can't do that, kid.
no, he
You
didn't
shouldn't
do
be
that.
wearing goggles.
I looked at it. I even think I think I was like, "Hey, Cap, having a tough time up here." And he just like, I remember turning. He said, "Just get me a fucking hole." And I put the thing, whatever I did, and he walked away. And we kept cutting. I think at some point they ended up pulling us. Did they pull us out of that?
Yeah,
at
we
one
get
point,
we
Louis? I don't
we
even
actually
remember.
got pulled out of there. Ended up going to like a fifth alarm, I think. but
Was
they-
that when
Yeah,
we lost
right.
the saw?
Yeah, the whole place, he knocked it down the next day.
I don't know. Did we lose a saw at that job?
No, I almost did.
I
I
don't
was
remember
cutting,
losing a saw.
and I
Oh, okay.
No, we lost the store when
There was
Timmy
there was
left.
a lost saw at an incident on Northern Boulevard.
Not the one where Timmy left it on the roof and we had to go back for it.
I was at that one too.
No, that was the rabbit saw.
No, the saw. He left the saw on the roof and he's sweating the store. He's like,
Pat Murphy was working too.
I left the store on the roof.
Murph's
I don't know what I'm
gonna kill me.
Murph's gonna kill me.
And he made us go all the way back to the firehouse.
Go back to the firehouse. He's like, I gotta tell the captain. All of a sudden, I see over in the corner, Murph's going like this. And he goes, get back on the fucking rig. Get back on the rig. We go back and we find the store. Good stuff.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. You know what, guys? I wouldn't change it. I mean, being in the squad, you talk about first do engine work, you talk about the rescue work, you talk about truck work.
They do more first do work now than we did. We didn't do too much first do work.
Yeah, but still, you still got a piece of it, you know.
I didn't do anything first do.
Yeah.
I had one chance at a first do job. I think Louis was on the rig.
I was in front of you. I go like this. It's out the windows. We got a good job. It's on the right.
Yeah.
It's to the right. We make a left.
I know.
Like to the Queens, 1075.
We won't bring that up. No name dropping.
Oh my God. I was
my first chance at a nozzle job.
Poor bastard.
It's to the right. We went left.
Yeah,
it was blowing, and you could see the back of the house. It was blowing.
Yeah, we're like, okay. Yeah, we drove behind it on the back.
Yeah.
Oh shit, man. Listen,
Hey, it's a tough area, bro. Even though it's right around the corner from the firehouse, it's a tough area.
Oh yeah. It was a block and a half from the firehouse. We went 8 blocks down, 2 blocks.
You know what I remember the most?
3
about
blocks
that?
back.
We got in second, right? Because we backed up the rig. We were fucking screaming, right? So we back up. He backs up the rig, and then he turns in, and now you hear the 1075, right? Obviously, and then we helped stretch. And I remember standing. We were all 3 of us, me, you, and Patsos, were like, on the stair, right? On the stairs going up to the second floor.
Feeding my line in.
Feeding our line in. And then the water was pouring down like onto us. And we were just like this. And it was just like pouring onto us. We were just like in shock.
We drove past the fire building 3 times.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, shit happens, bro.
I think he sat down on the stair. He sat down like on the stair. We were holding the line like it was going over the railing, and he sat down on the step, just like dejected.
And that was a chauffeur that grew up in the neighborhood, right?
No.
We
won't mention this guy. He's no longer with us. We won't mention him.
Nah, he's not with us.
So the good news is they're doing first do work now.
Yeah, and getting in first.
But you know what? Nobody's sending shit through the bag anymore, bro. So that time will never be repeated.
Thank God that all came to a screaming halt.
Yeah, you know,
May 20th of 2011. That all came to a screaming halt.
You know what? One more story I'm gonna bring up. After 9/11, people, I mean, they were so good to us, bro. But people were coming through that firehouse like crazy, and they would leave cakes upon cakes, like every day.
We were crocheting us shit.
We would throw out so many cakes, bro. Yeah. So me and Neary decided to have WWF wrestling with the cakes and the jelly donuts, bro.
Cakes and jelly donuts, man, in the kitchen.
Sheet cake, crumb cakes, bro, whatever it was, we smashed it over each other's head. And we had more D-cell batteries than we could shake a stick at. Right. Yeah. And crazy people coming to the firehouse, man.
Singing and writing
poems.
Yeah. Well, I think some of that might have been stress relief too.
Maybe.
For you guys.
Oh yeah.
I think it might have been.
Good times.
You know, everybody dealt with it a different way.
Remember when Hanky? We don't have that picture. I don't think. Remember when Hanky went for his operation?
No, not operation. When he found out his heart was okay, and they said they put a big sign on the firehouse.
Put a big sign.
The old man.
Congratulations
on finding a heart, old man.
Yeah. That was a helpie.
Did he write that? It was like on a big bed sheet. It was hanging in front of the firehouse.
Yeah, it was a big bed sheet with spray paint. Congratulations
on
finding a heart. No, they fucked up his EKG.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, and
I think that was the case where they ordered a Diet Coke in the Coke machine and shorted out the EKG. And they put Hank on medical leave for like 3 months. So like, you're not going to make it.
Right. Well, that did happen back there on Lafayette Street when they had the Coke machine on the same circuit.
Yeah, 20 truck.
Right. So if somebody hit the machine while the EKG was going, it would screw it up. They had more guys going on medical leave with bad EKGs because of that thing.
They're going to make it. There's
Right,
more
and
guys
then-
up the quarters from that Coke
Right.
machine.
Some guy's walking up with a Pepsi. What happened?
So-
Enough. We got to send it to the hospital.
So I had to go to St. Francis, the heart hospital, see a heart specialist that did all these tests and everything. He says, "There's nothing wrong with you." He says, "This guy's out of his mind." So they give me a paperwork. I go back to see the fire department doctor, whoever he was, and he goes, "I don't care what this guy says." He says, "Unless you get an angiogram, you're not coming back to full duty." So an angiogram, they cut you from femoral art. You go on an operating table. So I'm like, really? So remember they had me on light duty. I was driving a freaking rack thing. So yeah, here I got a bad heart, they're telling me, but I'm driving a rack unit by myself, put multiple alarms throughout the city, 24, at nighttime. So that's the kind of sense it made. But long story longer, I ended up, even though the doctor at St. Francis says this is worthless, you don't need to do this, but I had to get an angiogram to find out that not only did I not have any problem, I had nothing close to a blockage, and he said your heart's working at like 8% better than somebody your age should be working. So that's when I was able to get back to full duty. But yes, I was
Feel like you're gonna live.
I was greeted with that sign. Yes.
Is that where they put the probe up your ass to check out to see if you had?
No, that's what they do. That's what they do when you shit your pants when you're driving back to the job.
Good for you, Hank.
All right.
Don't shit on
All right, we got to
folks.
wrap this up. So, let's go through everybody and just your experience in the squad in a few sentences. Let's start with Neary on the end.
Probably the best thing that happened to my career. A lot of friends, exposure to all kinds of emergencies that I would have never gone to. Bit of a curse in that in 3 years prior to going to the squad, I didn't get a chance to master, first do work. So if I would leave anything to the young guys on the job, do some time in the engine, do some time in the truck, and then go to SOC. Because you have to master that first do work, if you will. And everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Amen. Bill?
Billy Hill.
Yeah, it made me more confident when I became a boss. I had the SOC experience, and it went a long way. Especially when you went to a firehouse, a new lieutenant, and said, "I worked in SWAT." Oh, okay. It wasn't somebody from a backwoods company, so it was a good experience.
Hanky Panky?
For me, again, it was a little different because I wasn't a young guy going there. So, I wouldn't change a thing in my career. I was fortunate to go to 280 and 132 at a Proby school in 79, worked with excellent officers, excellent firemen, great young guys. I went to a lot of fires. I learned to be a fireman pretty quick there, in that battalion, in that area. Then followed up by, like 11 and a half years in Rescue 1, a premier company on the job with, again, very seasoned firefighters and learning and getting the skills I did. Having to move out, doing that short stint in 175 was also a blessing for me at that time, because I was able to still go to a great company that went to a lot of fires, got to play in the tiller. Again, with great guys. A lot of the young guys in that place that I worked with have all become staff chiefs. It was a great study house. They were into the job. But for me to end my career, I guess the last 5 years, it was great to be able to start a company. Not 288 was an existing company, but when it became a squad, to be able to have the latitude that Captain Murphy gave me as a senior man, and to have the young guys like you guys to be able to teach, it was a great thing for me, because I love to teach. To me, that's the fire service. You got to pass it on. You got to pass it on. I'm going to use this little caveat just while I'm saying that. Remember, 2 days ago was the anniversary of the Walbaum's fire, where the fire service learned about bowstring truss roofs. And guys today should still be studying those type of fires and that type of construction and all construction in your area. Because if you don't know it, you're going to end up living the same nightmares that happened back in 78. So we have to pass our knowledge on. And for me, to be able to be a senior guy in a squad, a brand new squad, was a blessing. And like I said, it was only the dark day of 9/11 that really tarnished that. But, even being around a little bit afterwards to help rebuild it was a blessing.
Roof.
I don't know. I think that, I liked working in 117. I was there for 4 years. I was in the process of transferring out of there. But the squad and the officers there and Hank and those guys, they reset my basics, right? There was stuff that I was never doing in 117 that we always did in the squad, right? We always prepared all the time, this, that, the whole thing, right? So that reset my basics. And to meet all the young guys, everybody was on the same page. It's like I say, it's one of my sweet spots of my career. Like that couple of years there where everybody was a lot of fun, breaking balls, going to fires, all that stuff. And then it just springboarded, after I got promoted. I'm obviously 9/11, but, working at 290, 103 for 7-8 years. And then to be able to come back as lieutenant and feel like I was carrying the torch again, like Hank was saying, to teach the new guys, make sure they remember the old guys, why, don't forget any of that stuff, right? That's important that, the big red dog goes up and down and your time here is going to be gone. So you have to make sure that you keep the history. Otherwise there's no company, right? You have to remember all the history. So I was glad I was able to do that, bring that back. And now I know that the guys are there now that are doing that. I talked to Brancato today. He's covering there. That's all he talked about was making sure that that's cemented with all the new guys. Because that was another flush of new guys coming in, and making sure that they know all the stories that we're talking about. It's important.
Right. I'm going to say what Matt said there. To go there with like 3 years on the job was a gift. It set my career off on a totally different path to learn from guys like Hank and Timmy Kelly and Captain Murphy, Bill about engine work, and Ronnie, And then I always said all the time, right, Hank, I'm going to be the senior man here. One day I'm going to be the senior man here. And I stayed almost 16 years there in the same place. So that place has always been special to me. It'll always be special to me. I feel like it's my company. So I feel blessed that I got to work with so many young guys too, like Hunter and Matty and Ielpi, and just that whole hard charging mentality. I got lucky. I was at the right place at the right time, and I learned a lot from all of these guys. And that's it. And Mike looks really good in a suit. That's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank you
Mike
guys for coming on today and talking, sharing old stories. Look at Tivadar is in the chat. Ruffy.
Oh my God.
Where is he from again?
Budapest.
Budapest.
What are you talking about, Tivadar?
Budapest.
Yeah. All right. Start sending stuff again, Tivadar, because we're gonna bring back the old cocktails and cocklaws for one or two of those episodes.
So our next episode is not. We got. They got Eddie the.
We got when we come back. I'll be gone
Eddie
now.
alone,
I'm heading out for 2 weeks. I'll be out of the country. I will be bringing my camera, and I will be filming some funny shit with the Filipino fire department. That should be funny. In the Philippines. Mike's going to bring the camera on the boat trip, and we have 2 episodes in the can that will play while we're gone. So we will be away for 2 weeks. We'll miss you, and we'll be back sometime.
Got Chief Esposito is coming on too at the end of the month.
End of the month, we got
good man,
Chief of Operations Esposito, and like Louis said, we got the JETS. I'll be wearing my Aaron Rodgers jersey. JETS, Jets.
Fireman Ed.
Fireman Ed. I think it's Bronx Fireman. All good stuff. So Matt, better get your ass to the boat cruise because you're now officially in.
All right, word up.
Anybody got any shout outs for the last before we go?
I don't know, not a shout out, but I didn't know the man personally. I was on the job. He was on the job way before me. When I was a young man, I had heard about this man. And this is, you can actually use the word legend for this man. I think he ended up a chief, but Chief Neary I believe passed away either yesterday or today. No relation to Matt.
None whatsoever.
He was. I know he had won the James Gordon Bennett in when he was in 31 truck, and then as a lieutenant in 28 truck up in Harlem, he won the Bennett again. He was just an extremely talking about hard charging. He was the guy that I'm sure everybody that worked with aspired to be. And he was a legend on the job, and he just passed away. So just wanted to let
Rest
whoever's
in
out
peace,
there
brother.
know. And that's it.
How about you, Billy? Grogan's in the chat, by the way. Good guy. You got a good son-in-law there.
What was he saying?
Oh, no, he was saying something before. You got any shout-outs, kid?
Shout out to
He just wants a turkey hero.
Just give me some beef and green beans. How about you, Matty Max? What do you got?
No shout outs. Just great time tonight, man. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great time to spend
lot of
with
laughs
you
by
guys
Chris
in the
for sure,
chat,
man.
man. It's awesome. Mike, thank you, bro, for having me. It's a good time, man.
Yeah, funny shit.
Rehashing job stories.
Yep.
Funny
Good
shit.
stuff, man. Great
All
time
right.
in my career.
Yeah, no doubt.
All
All right,
Be
fellas.
safe out there, Leatherhead.
Mike, you got
Be
anything?
safe.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just a couple of quick shout outs. One, first and foremost, to all my peeps at the West Haven Fire Department. Secondly, wanted to give a special shout out on a happier note to one of my friends retired out of the NYPD bomb squad, Richie Teamsman. He beat cancer, 9/11 related cancer.
Good
He's
for him.
doing well, cancer free. He called me to
Yeah.
tell me the news the other day. So good for you, Richie.
Amen.
Keep on
Finally,
fighting, brother.
somebody good.
Good news. I like good news, Mikey. Mike, you'll be it on the boat trip. He'll be filming and drinking.
Well-
We're gonna get Mikey loaded, I think.
No, you
Oh,
better
make sure
be.
you don't have the suit on.
that's
Bring the
not-
guinea
I won't.
pig.
You better be able to get me a new apartment afterwards, because the boss here will throw me out of the house if I did that.
Don't worry about it, bro. You're allowed to get loaded now, and he's gonna wear the guinea pig.
Mike's sitting
Kevin's got
against
a
the
spare
knee
bedroom.
wall.
He is in the knee wall.
Arcade style
He is.
private dwelling right now.
Mike, I got an extra bedroom here. You can come crash with me, bro.
Yeah.
There
It's
you
all
go.
good.
There
We
you
all
go.
grew up in one.
Yeah.
And we're out in 3.
I'm in the act.
2.
One.
All right, boys. We'll see you in 2 weeks. A little more than 2 weeks.
All right,
Peace.
everyone.
All right.
Take
Yep.
care.
Good
On
night,
behalf
all.
of
Be safe.
Matt
Be
Neary,
safe.
Bill Hill, Hank Malay,
Take care,
Lou
guys.
Rufino,
Thank you.
and Kevin Kubler, I'm Mike Cologne, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Stay low and go.